Hello there, Comic Clan, and welcome to Comics in the Cross, the greatest streamers you have never heard of. I, of course, from one of your ads coming in with the host right away.
Nice. Add your beast, MVP.
If you have not
the
been
last 30 seconds.
If you have not been here for any length of time, that is generally how our openings go. I try to do the introduction, and ads gets a host in like right as I'm doing my introduction.
Immediately.
Which, of course, I have to stop because I've got a notification sound that plays over the top, and so it comes through my headphones, completely throws me off. But of course, I am one of your hosts for today, Cross, as you can see by our nice fancy borders that we've now got for podcasting, thanks to Nitro. We got solo borders, so we decided to make one for a duo because it made sense.
Of course.
So showing it off today. It's like,
yeah, so just got to show this off for my friend Locke in chat. It's a gift for my wife, and I'm digging it, man. I'm digging the show. I'm digging the thing, you know, and my name is misspelled under me, so that's all good. It's all good.
Nitro.
Nitro.
Yeah, it's like, you know what, that can just be a thing now. It's just going to be a double I for no reason.
Yeah, we could just do that. Nitro. There we go. We got to say it like that, too, every time, though.
Yeah.
So what's up, dude?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Nothing. Just gotta hang out on a Sunday.
It feels weird because I've not actually done this for a couple of weeks, so it kind of feels weird whenever we've got a couple of weeks separate, because you did the big anime talk, which has clearly been inspired you in many ways because you're now wearing anime stuff on stream. And
I have been watching so much anime since we talked, Locke. It's been ridiculous.
Yeah, look, you've had a bit of an influence on Nitro since that anime episode, which, can I just say, is like now the record holder for the longest episode.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I was telling, alright, so this might be TMI, okay? So, I have a bladder the size of like an 85-year-old man.
He does.
Everybody knows this who's been watching the stream long enough. So, about 2 hours is all I got. So, Cross and I normally talk right before the stream, and there's always this point in time where he's about to go live, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to hit the head real quick just to make sure we're good to go, and then we're good. So, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours is my cap, right? So, I made the mistake, Locke, when we did it, you know, when we had our stream. I don't know why I drank water beforehand, but I topped off normally like I do, and our stream went on for like 3.5 hours. It was bad news bears right at the end. I don't know if you noticed the speed up towards the end of the stream. Yeah, that was the reason.
Yeah, Nitro started rushing the podcast at that point, realizing how desperately he needed to use the bathroom. So it's like, there's a reason our shows are generally about 2 hours long at most. But yeah, we're doing good. We're back, man. Obviously, missed out last week's podcast. The whole family here was sick. My week has been completely thrown off with everything. We've had so much stuff happening at this house this last week. It's felt like an eternity since I've been doing this show, so it's good to be back.
Yeah. It does feel weird, like when we take a week off and then coming back, just getting into the groove of it. It takes a minute.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get back into it because like so much happens in that time. Like, I mean, we're both dads, we've both got families, we've both got busy lives, and it's like when this isn't part of the regular routine, it's like it feels really weird. Like,
yeah, it was cool getting to hang out yesterday, though, man. It was cool.
Yeah, we actually get to hang out in person.
Able to hang out.
I don't get to do it as often as we'd like, but obviously we had to freaking rush that as well. I finally got to see Shang-Chi like yesterday. Like, Nitro had seen it beforehand. He went to see it with his wife and stuff. I don't get to kind of go and see the stuff with my wife just with our situation with the kids and stuff. Unfortunately, shout out to Locke. Woo! I love the fact the clip is literally a stream ending thing. That is phenomenal. But like, yeah, we can't really go to the cinema at the same time. Like, we can't really go out together just with the whole stuff with the kids and with my eldest being autistic and stuff. Trying to get a babysitter for that stuff is hard just to do on a regular basis. So
yeah, you got to plan like weeks in advance for stuff.
Yeah, you have to plan so far in advance, so we don't get to do that. So Nitro got to do that, and I held off. And then we were going to go last week, and then you weren't going to make it that Sunday, so we decided, hey, let's push off seeing it.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to review it till today anyway. And then I said it to you yesterday when I finally got to the cinema. Like, I think someone doesn't want me to see this movie because we were going to go see a matinee, and then the first showing didn't start to 12:50. And for anyone who doesn't know, I work Saturday evenings. I work Tuesday to Saturday, and I work Saturday evenings starting at 3:15. And this is like a 2+ hour movie.
Yeah.
Plus, like, what is 20 to 30 minutes commercials.
Yeah, so I mean, in and out, it's 3 hours.
I think we got out of there at like 3:20 or something.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm not going to make it for working time. So I had to see, but one of my other colleagues already had the Saturday off, and we're short staffed on Saturdays, so it got denied. So I then had to check and see if someone could cover me. Thankfully, someone could cover it at 4:30, so I could actually go.
Yeah.
Then, like I said that to you, I almost got crashed into twice, on the drive to the cinema, as I almost got sidebarred coming out my street by a guy who decided not to slow down for the guy in front of him turning. Somebody was turning.
Are you going to see Shang-Chi? All right, I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, someone was turning in our street, so I thought, okay, I'll nip out in front of him. As I'm pulling out and he's pulling in, the other guy, I'm surprised he didn't hit the back of the other guy, almost went right into the side of me, and I'm like, dude, how did you even get to me that fast? The other guy was still turning. And then, on the road, the main road heading towards the cinema as well, there was a guy that was this is the edge of the road I'm coming along, he was here. And then there's cars on the lane next to me, so I had to, swoop in and out to get past them both. Oh my goodness. It's why am I not allowed to see this movie?
Welcome to our area. Because everybody drives like that.
Nobody knows how to drive. Don't even ask about a four-way stop.
Don't even mention rain. Good grief. It's awful.
I hate going out.
Sound like 80-year-old men here. But
I know we do, but driving in rain, driving at night time, driving at anything like that.
Yeah.
People don't know how to drive here. It is awful. No.
I almost said we're in the Middle East. We're in the Mid-East of the U.S., not the Middle East.
The Middle East.
So we're right.
Not quite.
We're right in the area where it's not really hot all the time, but it's not cold all the time. It's right in the middle. So, people just don't know how to drive.
So anyone gets any sort of extreme temperatures, no one knows what to do. Everybody freaks out.
An inch of snow, everybody's out of school for a month.
Oh, yeah. The budget of gritting the roads is dumped on the side of the road the day that snow is announced and it's not even started falling yet. It's
And then thousands of potholes magically appear the next day.
I know. It's crazy. Alright.
We've got our complaining out of the way.
I know. Need to get that out of our system. Alright, so I'm pulling up stuff for news, because there was a couple of pieces of news this week. I just want to make sure I hit them all.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about something too. We'll get to talk about it then.
No, you can go ahead and throw it in there if you want, because I'm still pulling stuff up.
So I know you and I talked about it yesterday a little bit. Maybe. I don't know if we did or not. We talked about a lot of stuff. So for those of you who don't like spoilers or whatever for the new Spider-Man movie, or potential spoilers, just plug your ears for a minute or two. But there was there's a set photo and there was a set video of supposedly Andrew Garfield and Tobey suited up in their respective Spider-Man suits. So the photo has actually been around for a couple months, I think. But a new 4K video just popped up. Not 4K. It's a high-resolution video. It's a close-up of Andrew Garfield in the same place that photo was taken. And he's talking to Tobey because you can see Tobey's hand in his suit. And so that was out for a couple weeks, and then this guy out of nowhere comes out and says, "Hey, everybody, I trolled the internet. It was me. I created the whole thing. Deep fake. Here's how I did it." And so he made a YouTube video walking you through how he made it from the beginning to the end. But what he didn't realize was that real visual effects artists would actually dissect this video and show that he started with a messed up template on the background. So you could see where he actually scrubbed the original video, which was Andrew Garfield. He basically deconstructed it and then remade it again. So I say all that to say, I think the video out there that we saw with Andrew Garfield talking to Tobey is real, but I think this guy tried to take credit for it, and it's just a whole bunch of confusion. And apparently there's a new trailer coming out towards the end of next month.
I think
we'll see what happens.
I think we'll end up if what's his face, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are in this movie, we'll get one more trailer at the end of next month, setting up for December, because they're not going to leave that for a movie reveal, because everyone's talking about it and they want to guarantee butts and seats to make money.
You think they'll drop Garfield or Tobey in the trailer?
They'll drop at least one of them.
Okay.
If not both, because the thing is, because you got to think about it from Disney, from a money perspective. From a creative perspective, you shouldn't say a dang word.
Yeah.
You should leave it as a surprise, leave people speculating, make people go to see it. But Disney want to guarantee butts and seats. Think of it as the equivalent of when Spider-Man showed up in the Civil War trailer.
Well, and that's what I was thinking. I compare it to that, right? Because that was there were still negotiations going on. Nobody knew for sure that Spider-Man was going to show up in Civil War, but then they dropped that in the trailer.
But the rumors alone could have got people in seats, but they wanted to guarantee people in seats to come see Spider-Man join the MCU. People have been non-stop talking for months about 3 Spider-Men all coming together in this movie. Mm-hmm. If they are in it, I am fairly confident they'll probably drop a trailer with them in it. Don't get me wrong, I hope they don't. I would love to go into this still speculating if they're going to be in it.
I'm gonna see it anyways. Everybody is gonna see it anyways.
Yeah, you know? Everyone's gonna see it anyway. But Disney is a company that wants like guaranteed money.
Yeah,
they don't want to take a risk that people might not go and see it. Like, I don't know if they're in it. I'll wait and see. No, they want like breaking box office records that weekend. They want Maguire and Garfield in it. They want people to know that they're in it. They want to throw everything at it so people will, I'm going to see it.
I mean, speaking of the Civil War thing, I would have honestly, because Spider-Man's my jam, you know that. I would have preferred that they left him out of the trailer and they just revealed that movie. I think there would have been like a huge pop in the theater, just like when Cap caught Mjolnir. I think it would have been close, for real. I do, if not more, honestly. And I wish they would have. I wish they would do the same thing with this one, but I get it. I get what you're saying. I get your point.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they don't reveal them. I hope it's a complete shock. I hope they save them for the third freaking act of the movie if they're in it. Yeah. I don't want to see them. I want it to be a complete shock.
Agreed.
I want Peter to be getting his butt whooped by the Sinister Six from across the multiverse for 2/3 of this movie. And then, out of nowhere, they show up as the help.
I mean, my thing is, why would they bring in those universes' villains if they're not going to bring in... It doesn't make sense to bring in their villains if they're not going to bring in their Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But like I said to you, it doesn't even make sense. The fact that we've seen Alfred Molina's Doc Ock show up and say, "Hello, Peter." It's like, he doesn't know that's Peter, though. He looks nothing like his Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He looks nothing like the Peter Parker he knew. So, that'll be interesting. I'm loving Locke's comment, by the way. I was just going to say this. I'm laughing at that. Apparently, it's now weird for people to see me with my normal brown hair. Although it's not completely back to being brown, it does now have a bit of a grey tinge to it now. I've got a bit of a salt and pepper thing starting.
Oh shoot!
Apparently, apparently I'm getting stressed at my box with 3 kids, so it's like I'm now starting to go a bit grey in my mid-30s.
Locke said there's a clip of Andrew Garfield on Jimmy Fallon saying the whole thing was photoshopped and he wasn't there, but he wished someone had told him he was. No, he said so that originally he was like, Jimmy was like talking about this picture and he goes, "What picture? I don't know what you're talking about. What picture?" And then he goes, "I know the picture. I know what you're talking about." So he tried to deny it up front, and then he got caught in this little lie, which I think he is lying, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, because it's that thing. I love the fact that they go on and get interviewed, and it's like, and they get asked about this stuff, and it's like, I get it's that thing of trying to trip them up, but it's like at the same time, it's like, they're not going to say yes, they're in it. They're under contract to not.
Yeah, they're not.
They're under contract to keep their mouth shut and not say a word, because
Sony was going around like DCMA and all those like leaked photo set photos where people were like, "It's not real. That's not really." Well, why were they doing that if it wasn't real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Sony and speaking of Spider-Man crossovers, well, there was another big announcement this week. We will be getting Spider-Man crossing over with Venom.
About time, man.
Maybe.
About time. Hopefully. Possibly.
Which I love the fact that's the headline that has been everywhere. But if you've actually read the article, it's taken a quote from director of Venom 2, Andy Serkis. Absolute legend of an actor, director, phenomenal guy. But like it's talking about a comment he was asked about, like, are we ever going to see Spider-Man and Venom crossover? Because it's one of those questions that everybody asks because we want to see it. They're from the same universe, same properties. It's weird that Venom's got his own thing happening over here that's completely disconnected from Spider-Man.
Doesn't make sense.
You know, so it's like, and he basically says, yeah, I'm sure we will see a crossover. I believe we're going to see a crossover between them. But we don't know when or where. But that eventually it will likely happen. That's it. That's the quote. Eventually it will likely happen. And people are going, if they're not, we're going to see them crossover. And I'm like, that wasn't even close to a guarantee.
No.
That was at some point down the line, Disney's going to eventually buy Sony and just put them together. You know?
I would bet money. Well, I don't know if I would bet money. I would say that there's a strong chance that Tom Holland appears, not as Spider-Man, but Tom Holland appears as Peter Parker in a post-credit scene for Let There Be Carnage. I would say that there's a strong possibility because Sony owns all that. They can do whatever they want. I mean, really. Locke says, "I'll say this about the Doc Ock thing. We're assuming that him saying hello, Peter, is to Tom Holland out of costume. I bet you Holland suits up before Dr. Ock fully comes out, so he just knows Spider-Man equals Peter Parker. Possibly, yeah.
Definitely a possibility. I mean, I would definitely say that's a possibility for it.
Yeah, so Locke, we did see, Cross and I were talking about this yesterday, so Tom Hardy had a Spider-Man No Way Home crew, like, production hat on. And people were like, "Oh shoot!
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Does that mean no? Maybe.
Well, technically,
maybe?
it could, because technically, if you want to say it, like even because that's the thing. Technically, now, like even if Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and all that don't appear now, you can basically say all of these Marvel characters are in the same multiverse now.
Yeah.
Even if they never cross over, like Venom's part of that multiverse, the old Spider-Man movies are part of that multiverse. You know, it's like you can technically say for all of that. In terms of Venom and Spider-Man crossing over, I will say this. I would be excited to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom. I think we could get some interesting stuff out of that and interactions between them.
Mm-hmm.
My worriment is for the overall story of how do you pull that together, because like there's going to be a whole host of backwriting there to make that story fit without having Spider-Man as part of it. Because the whole fact of their connection is literally the whole thing that drives the Venom Spider-Man thing and makes it so popular is the connection that's there. The Spider-Man had the black suit, that it then went to Venom, that they both had a hatred for Spider-Man. There was a built-up thing of the Venom suit wanting revenge on Spider-Man, as well as Eddie Brock wanting revenge on Spider-Man. Which that whole backstory of Brock is completely like not in the movies in any shape or form, let alone Spider-Man's involvement, which they're missing out on a phenomenal character by not including that stuff. Go read the backstory of Eddie Brock in the comics. It's insane. The fact they didn't include it is a pity, because it would be an amazing story to tell. But without any of that and without the Spider-Man connection, you've literally got two guys just bumping into each other with a kind of similar power set, but not even really, because the Venom we've seen has not even really done a lot of the spider powers. So it's like it'd just be two guys kind of crossing over, and I feel like to get that proper crossover, it would eventually just get brushed into Tobey Maguire versus Topher Grace. Yeah, it was Spider-Man versus Venom, but it could have been better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
It could have been way better.
Yeah, exactly. Look, cinematic Venom is extremely non-Spider. The crossover is literally because people would love to see the crossover, because people have got the nostalgia for the comic stories. But there is literally the cinematic versions of them. There is literally no reason for the crossover. There's no connection.
I'm pretty sure at some point they leaked the design for Venom's suit in Venom 2. And I could be wrong. I can't remember the trailer, but I'm pretty sure it has the spider on it.
Does it?
In some shape or form. Or they leaked stills of the suit or designs of the suit that at some point I think he gets the spider on it. So I don't know.
But see, like that, I'd be interested to see how they do that, because that, without the Spider-Man origin for the black suit, it doesn't make sense, because that was an imprint that the suit kept from being on Spider-Man. Yeah, was having the spider on the chest, and it kept it when it joined with Eddie. Yeah, you know, and because that's his design in the comics that it keeps even since then. Every person that jumps to all the way through to Flash Thompson with Agent Venom coming back to Eddie, it's a design that the suit itself keeps.
Yeah,
it varies it, but
I think they know that they're gonna have to get to that point, so it might just be like a reworking of like a backdoor of the suit getting the spider. So it obviously starts off with Brock, and then it gets on Peter Parker somehow, and then it goes back to Brock, and now it has the spider on it. I don't know. I feel like they should have started with that at some point.
Yeah, but like Locke said, like Hardy Venom makes no sense to pair up. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'd love to see. I think Tom Hardy is a good casting choice for Eddie Brock. I'm going to say that. I think he's a good casting choice. I think the way he's written is awful.
I would agree.
I think 100%. if he was written like he is in the comics, and like the Eddie Brock that we were expecting to get, Tom Hardy is a great choice. Tom Hardy could pull it off 100%. I honestly believe it. I don't think the writing gives him a lot to work with. You know, it's like the weird kind of like Tom Hardy mumbling over himself. You know, sounds like he's doing a Bobcat Goldthwait impression. You know, it's like that's not. that's not the Eddie Brock I want. This bumbling goof. Oh, you Eddie, and I'm like, that's not what Eddie Brock's meant to be like.
Yeah,
It's a completely different version of Eddie Brock. Not to mention, it's a completely different version of the symbiote. Like, the symbiote's personality legitimately bugs me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree.
Because they try to make it almost like
it's like a 5-year-old,
charming and funny. Like, even see the opening of the trailer when the first trailer dropped for Venom 2.
So bad.
And it's cooking in the kitchen, and it's like it's singing to itself, and it's like, I'm like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've already lost me. Opening minute, and you've lost me in a trailer.
Yeah. I was not a fan of that.
The
second trailer was definitely good, but the first trailer, I was like, no, stop.
So Locke's saying, so in the Let There Be Carnage trailer, he freaks out seeing Carnage and yells, "That's a red one." Did the coloration thing exist as a classification in the comics? Not as a classification though. Like, all the symbiotes are just different coloured varied. Like, they all have different looks to them. But there isn't like a classification. It's not like being a red one is more like stronger or more evil or anything like that. I think the red was insinuated in Carnage, one, to make it pop off the page colour-wise specifically, but two, I think it was because it's meant to be the whole, like, it's mixed with his blood. Like, the Carnage symbiote literally goes into Cletus Cassidy's blood.
Yeah.
You know, you actually see that a bit in the trailer. It literally is coming out, of his skin. So I think that was part of, like, making it red, was, like, it's so infused to him, it is, like, basically his blood.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of symbiotes, and they all have different colorations, and they all have different, like...
What was like yellow ones, green,
like... Well, that's what I was going to say. Shriek
one or a purple one
came back as, like, in a comic recently, and she was a yellow, and like yellow, black, and red look to her. Toxin, who Eddie Brock also wears at one point, the Toxin symbiote, has got like a red upper half and black lower half. So like they're all just different designs and colours. There isn't really a classification to them. But yeah, that is a bit of a weird line. That's a red one. I'm like, yes, it is. Good for you. You can see colours. You know, well done. There's no context to that being better or worse or anything. Like, unless they establish it during the movie that, oh, that's a red one, that's a really bad one.
Mm-hmm.
No. Carnage was a little bit worse than Venom in terms of the fact that he's a bit more sadistic.
Yeah.
But that's part to do with the fact of how much him and Cletus have fused together. Like, they don't say we, they say I.
Yeah.
They're literally one and the same. Because he's nuts.
Yeah.
And the Carnage symbiote is nuts, and they both just feed off each other. And, you know, so it's like, it's a more sadistic, there is no moral compass at all in Carnage. Whereas Venom is, you know, even at his best, is an anti-hero at times, so it's like there is a bit of that morality to him. But
I will say that the way that they transformed Woody Harrelson as Carnage in the second trailer is it's terrifying.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
They've really gone for a horror element of that look, and I'm like, good.
His body, meant to be. Well, somebody shot him and his body separated, and the bullet went through him, and then it closed back up. I'm like, dude, that is sweet.
Yeah, it's like it's meant to be a horror element to Carnage, and I think I will give them credit for that. They did capture that. They did capture the horror element to Carnage. Like, he is not meant to be in any way a nice guy. He's not a redeemable character. Like, Venom's an anti-hero, so there's redeemable qualities to him. Carnage is not meant to be that in any way. Locke saying, yeah, that's what I thought, that they were just randomly different coloured, so they could easily be told apart. Pretty much, yeah. So you can tell what one's what just by looking at it. Anti-Venom is pure white with a black symbol. Yeah, Anti-Venom as well, lads. Like, is literally an inverse of the Venom symbiote. It's the white with the black. Yeah, Cletus Cassidy was a redhead that wore a lot of red, so it made sense tying all together. Sure, Cassidy's red theme was more because of Carnage rather than Carnage being red. Yeah, it's kind of. I think I kind of take it like it's kind of like being a Power Ranger. You know, it's like whatever colour Power Ranger you are, all of a sudden that's the only colour clothes you've got in your wardrobe.
That's so true.
Like, if you're the Red Ranger, every shirt you're wearing for the rest of your life is red.
Every day. Yeah.
You know, so it's like... And they always... Do you know what I love as well? That whenever they change... Just rambling off this of Power Rangers, like, whenever they change Ranger, like, especially the first few seasons, I'm thinking, like, especially, like, Tommy, who went from, like, being green to white and then eventually red. Literally his whole wardrobe changed every time. Like, it was all green, and then it became the White Ranger, and all of a sudden his wardrobe was all white.
Just in case you didn't know who was behind the suit, this is the guy. Just pay attention to his clothes.
Which I love. Like, yeah, a group of 6 people wandering around, all wearing the same colours, only those colours that are exact same colours as the Power Rangers, and nobody worked it out.
I wonder if they're the Power Rangers. They're wearing the same colours. They're always together.
Like, just an inkling. Just somebody should have went, wait a minute.
You're the Power Rangers. Got it.
Unless it's like one of those things of like that everybody just knows, and they all shut up about it, and like they just like they think they've got a secret identity. We're just not going to say a thing. We're just
let
going
them think nobody knows.
They keep saving this. You keep saving us. So we're just not going to mention it. You know.
Yeah, that Locke. That was one of the main complaints I had, along with other numerous things about the first movie. Is Riot and Venom looked almost identical, and when they fought, and it was just like a mess of symbiote stuff.
You know what'll make this fight better?
And
make it a nighttime fight.
They're like, all right, we're gonna make this fight the most confusing fight you've ever seen.
And the cameraman's going to be drunk.
Let's have it at night.
And the cameraman's going to be drunk.
It was so bad, man.
I'm like, what is happening? I can't tell what's happening in this fight. You know what I mean? It's like, give me something to watch, please. To be fair, giant robots and monsters destroy the city, and no one speaks about it after. Yeah, no one also speaks about the fact that this American city all of a sudden has this massive, like, flat land with this one mountain range in it.
That's so true.
That looks suspiciously Japanese looking, and then all of a sudden,
Angel Grove, dude. It's Angel Grove.
And then all of us, but then it disappears. That landscape.
Angel Grove. It's just a shifting landscape. Okay.
It's like
it has many facets.
Robots and monsters come out, and this mountain just rises out of the ground, and then they disappear, and it all goes back. It's like, okay, we're just not going to talk about it.
Locke said they consult the guys who made the last season of Game of Thrones. Yeah, that those 4 episodes that were just completely black with just torches moving around.
Yeah, because that makes stunning viewing. You know, we're going to have only torchlight, and I'm like, you know, you can make it look like you've got torchlight and still have other lights, right? Yeah, there's a whole lot of. You'll remember that? Nope, not at all in movies and shows. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I think the multiverse stuff is going to be... There's going to be a lot of questions for that going forward.
I'm excited for a live action Spider-Verse, though. I think that would be kind of cool.
It would be a really cool idea. I think as well because we've seen the potential of it with what the first Spider-Verse movie did, and I'm glad we're getting a sequel to that. Mm-hmm. But we've seen the potential of a multiverse done right. Like that movie is still, in my mind, the best Spider-Man movie we've gotten. And in my mind, Peter B. Parker in that is still like my version of Spider-Man. I'm like, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him. That is Peter Parker as an adult. That is what he's meant to be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's spot on perfect, and it's like, so I'm excited for a sequel to that, but the fact of them doing a live action one, like, yeah, if you get it even close to that, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all for it, and
it's gonna be Toby with a beard, and we'll be good, man.
Yeah, I mean that's it. It's like I'm still waiting for the reveal. I'm not gonna lie. I seen someone posting about it because I know people were talking about it way back when the first Spider-Man movie was coming out for the MCU. Like I'm still waiting for Tobey Maguire to pull his mask off, and for Tom Holland's Peter Parker to go, Uncle Ben. I'm still waiting for that, like, because we've never seen Uncle Ben. He's barely been mentioned and referenced, so like I'm still waiting for that reference of like that's what his Uncle Ben looks like, because I still think that'd be a really cool little twist. And it's actually a twist into the comics as well, that during one of the like Spider-Verse crossover things, Uncle Ben did come in from one universe to help.
Mm-hmm.
So it is technically a canon thing.
Yeah, I don't know what I would feel. I don't know what I would think about that.
I think it'd be cool at least today, because you don't need to play that much off of it, you know?
Yeah.
Don't have him like meet Marissa Tomei or anything like that. You don't need to do that whole big thing of like, oh my goodness. It's like, no, just have him like, no, I'm you from another universe. I just happen to look like your uncle or something, and we're going to move on with it. Just have it be a little moment.
Moving on.
Pretty much. But yeah, so that was kind of the big news for this week, was a couple of crossovers. There was one last thing I wanted to mention to you, because I wanted to see what your thoughts on this were.
Uh-oh.
Because I don't know what my thoughts are on it yet. Was The Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Pattinson's Batman movie that is coming out looks phenomenal.
Sometime.
Looks phenomenal.
Sometime.
Excited to check it out. We know there's going to be a few villains appearing in it.
Mm-hmm.
One of those villains is already getting a spin-off HBO Max series. Colin Farrell's Penguin is going to be getting a spin-off HBO Max series. And I had to ask what your thoughts were on this. Because I still don't know.
Here's a couple things. This is Warner Brothers' main issue, I think, handling DC properties. They are trying to do too much. And when you spread yourself too thin, the quality suffers. How about let's actually get a movie out first with said character in the movie, see how he or she is portrayed, and see the reception of that character, and then if they are well received, how about let's make a spinoff then? Okay.
Nah, just give him a show.
I love Colin Farrell, phenomenal actor, and I've been wanting the Penguin in a live action movie forever. But let's wait until the movie comes out.
I'm going to say this as well. Like I love Colin Farrell. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think if he's cast in the right roles, he's brilliant. He's one of the best.
Bullseye. That's just cinematic.
I love that. Don't get me wrong. That is one of my favorite things I've ever seen him do. It's like I cannot. That is an awful movie, the Daredevil movie. But his Bullseye is like a freaking highlight of that movie. Like I bust my gut watching him in it.
It's so over the top.
It's so over the top, and it's amazing because I don't care. I'm just going to go for it, and
I'm carving a bullseye in my forehead. I'm doing all of it.
It's like, you know what, you do your thing, Colin Farrell. Like none of this makes sense. You're so over the top and campy,
just like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Batman and Robin.
It's like you're so over the top and campy, and I cannot help but love you doing it. But I still don't know how I feel about him being cast as Penguin. I need to see the movie,
dude. All right, so I remember. I'm old enough to remember when the Nolan films were coming out, and they were before they came out, and they were talking about the villains that they were going to possibly have, and they were talking about Penguin at some point. At that point, it was Philip Seymour Hoffman was maybe thinking about playing the Penguin as like an arms dealer, and I was like, dude, that sounds really, really cool. Like if they do that right, that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, that would be a cool idea. I like the fact that they're kind of doing that with this Penguin, making it a bit more gangster-esque,
exactly.
because that's the part I want to see played up. Like literally, the best version of the Penguin I've seen in recent years has actually been in the Arkham games. I think it's the start of Arkham City. You get a good shot of Penguin doing some dealing and stuff, and both me and my friend from back in Scotland both said, you know who'd have been a great Penguin if he had been a bit younger, still been alive. You know, God rest his soul now. But Bob Hoskins. Playing the gangster,
that sounds familiar.
Doing his gangster version, because he's done a lot of stuff like that. Specifically, I think.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
He's got a look of it, and then if you ever watch him in the movie Unleashed with Jet Li, he plays like a gangster in Glasgow, and it's like he's like a mob boss character. Which, by the way, if you've never seen Unleashed with Jet Li and Bob Hoskins and Morgan Freeman in it,
I was just googling that. I've never seen.
Phenomenal movie. There's a whole rant in that one, but
Bob Hoskins was awesome.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins was an absolute legend. Loved the guy, and him playing, because the way he is in the Arkham games, is like a London gangster. He's like a mob boss gangster. He's doing the weapons dealing, is all that stuff.
Oh, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, the guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Mario.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the Mario thing. Which, to be fair though, in the Mario thing, Bob Hoskins is still phenomenal.
Peter Pan, good grief! I forgot how many movies he's in.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins is a treasure, man.
He was Smitty.
Yeah.
Dude, I totally forgot about that.
Who the hell is Smitty? He was Smee.
Smee, whatever.
Who's Smitty?
He's my nickname for Smee. All right, that's what I call him. I call him Smitty.
Okay,
right?
You need to go watch Unleashed because it's amazing and you've not seen it. And apparently you need to go back and watch Hook.
Apparently.
Because you can't even remember Smee.
Dude, I'm horrible with names. Give me a break.
No.
He said no. Alright, so I really like the way that what I've seen from the Penguin, from the trailers and whatnot, which is a very, very small amount, I like the direction that they're going. with the Penguin. Now, again, I would really like it for the movie to come on first, and then let's talk about some stuff. Like, they're really trying to make this connected universe. Just leave the shows alone.
But why Penguin, though? If you're making a connected universe, like, I get you're doing the HBO Max thing, you're trying to do the Disney Plus thing, you're trying to make a connected universe. Like, Blue Beetle, okay, phenomenal. Character we've not seen, give him his own show. Well worth it. He's not going to draw in big bucks, people don't know who he is, but chuck it on HBO Max. People will fall in love with the character, I guarantee it. We're going to make a Batgirl movie, we're going to put it on HBO Max. Perfect! Get Barbara Gordon out there, get her as Batgirl, a character we've not seen, a character that's well known. Get her on HBO Max, a character that deserves the spotlight.
Yeah.
Perfect. There's all these heroes to follow. Why the hell is Penguin getting a show?
This goes back to the.
Do you know how many amazing characters are out there, and Penguin's getting a show?
This goes back to the conversation that we've had just so many times I've lost count. DC/Warner Brothers/ whoever wants to listen, you need a unified vision. You need a Kevin Feige. I don't care who that is. You need someone like that.
We have pretty much been saying this since we started this show.
You need to lay out what your vision is for the DC universe, whether you want it connected, whether you want a multiverse, or whether you want standalone properties. All three are viable options, but you need to make a decision on what you want to do. You can't have all three and have everything be quality. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No. So let's make a decision. Let's make a decision which direction we want to go. You don't have to be Marvel. You can do your own thing. But let's stick with it. Let's stick with a vision. Let's stick with the decision.
All right, I need to catch up and chat here because Kenneth Smallish coming in saying 10 out of 10. Bob Hoskins best Mario ever.
He was phenomenal. John Leguizamo as Luigi. Come on now.
Locke said he's saying equal tie with Captain Lou Albano is the best Mario, which he was a live action Mario during the Super Mario Super Show cartoon.
Yeah, I remember that dude.
Which, by the way, go back and watch his PSAs as Mario. Like, you won't believe them. There is legitimately a PSA. He was
a wrestler, right?
Yeah, there's legitimately a PSA of Captain Lou Albano dressed as Mario, warning kids that they're going to go to hell.
Oh my gosh!
I kid you not, it's a real thing. And I'm like, "Hey Isaac, how's it going, sir?" I kid you not, go look it up. It's a real freaking thing, like 100%. And yeah, Locke, 100%. Penguin already had a show. It was called Gotham.
Good grief.
Penguin was like the main villain in Gotham. He was one of the main characters, so 100%. Yeah, absolutely, Locke. I swear to you, I've seen it. It's a real thing. You need to go find the PSA of that.
Good grief.
But yeah, do you know what I think is as well? Like Locke saying as well, DC Feige is the only way to ever make it work. Kevin Feige being head of Marvel is why that works. They need that at DC. But do you know why that works? It works because, playing a little bit of, what's it called? The Dark Pictures game. Nice, Isaac. But the reason why having like a Kevin Feige works for Marvel...
the conversation that we're having.
I know. But see, see like where it's going and having all that set up, do you know why it works? Because in the comic book world, you have that. It's called an editor.
Yes.
The editor-in-chief, everyone has to run everything past the editor to get it approved. Like, Marvel did that for years, like, we want to have the Fantastic Four crossover in this big Spider-Man event. Oh, you can't because they're over here in their book, they're on the other side of the universe, they'll never be there for that. So it's like, you need someone who knows where all the pieces are. And DC doesn't have that. They don't have an editor-in-chief, they don't have a head that's focusing on everything. That's why it's not working.
You can tell just by, like, the last 5 years what's happened. Right? You had Justice League come out. It was awful. So we're like, Zack Snyder's like, I had this original vision, but, we're never going to see it. And then fans pushed for it, and it came out. And everybody's like, dude, it's sweet. And everybody's like trying to tie it in with this new Flash movie, and they're going to bring back Michael Keaton, which I'm all for that. But who asked for that? No one asked for that.
We can't get one universe right, but we're going to start on our multiverse.
We're going to go all the way back.
But you know what the thing is? Like, we're going to start on our multiverse without getting the first universe right, and do you know what we're going to do to make it worse? We're going to start doing it at the exact same time Marvel is setting up their multiverse, so it's going to look crap by comparison regardless.
Because we haven't set the foundation.
No, and that's the thing. It's like that. Oh, we're doing a multiverse. Why we're bringing back Michael Keaton's Batman, and I'm like,
why?
Yeah, but like Spider-Man is possibly bringing back the old Spider-Man, the villains of the old Spider-Man, and that's just in one movie. Let alone all the other multiverse stuff. Like Flash is going to be white noise and a void compared to Marvel's like multiverse stuff. Like you have not thought this through. I mean, and absolutely, sorry, I just saw that comment. Bob Hoskins as Smee is awesome. He's so awesome as Smee, by the way. He actually played Smee in 2 different projects, Hook, and then he played him again later in a Sky One production of Peter Pan. If you've not seen that, go check it out as well. Locke found it. You want me to drop the link somewhere? You can drop it in our Discord, Locke, if you want. I'll put up the thing for our Discord.
So all right. So going back, the 1989 Tim Burton Batman is probably one of my favorite Batman movies. Oh. I love it. It's awesome. I have a soft spot for Michael Keaton. I love most everything he's in. That being said, no one asked for him to come back, and it might work out great, but you need to get.
We did ask him to come back. We asked him to come back as old Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond, and DC went, nah, stick him back in the suit and just make him Batman. I'm like, how long have we been yelling at you to bring him back in this way, and you couldn't even get that right?
I feel so bad for Robert Pattinson right now, because he's probably like sitting at his home going, I have no idea what's going on. Am I going to be in the universe? Am I not going to be in the universe? It's just going to be a standalone movie. Now they're making a Penguin show. WTF.
Yeah.
WTF, DC. What's going on?
Keep him back. Yeah, exactly. Locke is saying it as well. Like, yeah, the only way to bring him back, especially, do you know what the thing is as well that really is going to annoy so many fans? Is that Keaton is now the perfect age to play the old Bruce Wayne. He looks like old Bruce Wayne. Go watch Batman Beyond. He literally looks like old Bruce Wayne.
He does.
He's perfect for it now. He looks perfect for it. Cast Terry McGinnis and go. We're good. No one asked for Ezra Miller as Flash, but life is unfair.
I'm in the minority in that.
You are indeed. You quite like him as Flash. I cannot stick.
I don't know. I wouldn't go so far as to say I like him as Flash. I don't.
Oh no! You're not backing out now. All
right, at 1 out of 10 or whatever, 1 to 10, I would give him like a 6 or a 7. He's not bad. I don't think he's bad at all.
You made your bed. Line it now.
All right, you're making it sound like I pitched. I'm the one who pitched it to Ezra Miller. All right. I don't mind him as Flash. I think he's actually decent. He's quite good.
You had it here first. Ezra Miller, Flash is Nitro's fault. Blame him.
Shia LaBeouf for Wolverine. All right, let's continue.
Just dig your hole deeper, why don't you? Dying. Danny DeVito for Wolverine. I will hear no other exceptions.
Firefly's overrated. What?
Wow.
I'm just
wow, and I'm ending this call. And then the rest of the show solo, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a minute to get rid of Nitro.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. You cannot come in here and say that and not expect backlash.
Oh man, I was just dropping all of my hot takes all at once just to get them out of the way.
Firefly is a masterpiece, and you just can't get over the fact of how much you hate Joss Whedon to actually enjoy the show and admit that he did something good. You've got such a distaste for Joss Whedon, you can't get over yourself to say that he made something actually worthwhile.
I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and I did like portions of it. I just overall, I was like,
I was going to say, yeah,
it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah, Locke, you jump in the call. You can take over from Nitro. We'll talk about Shang-Chi. Because you like
I did
Firefly,
not think it was bad. All right, I want to be clear. I want to be clear in this because it has a habit of no. Let me finish.
No, you've made
no. Let me finish. We have a habit.
Oh, we've got a raid coming in. Saved by the raid, Nitro. Saved by the raid. It's that kid Rod coming in with the raid. Thank you so much.
What's up, man?
Let me do a little shout out for. It's that kid Rod.
Right. Sheesh.
You're coming in and literally saving Nitro from being crucified by our community. No, not saving me
from anything. I was clarifying my hot take, and Cross was saved, from the raid. That's what it was.
Oh yeah. That's exactly how it was playing out there. That's how that conversation was going.
So what I was saying, I know we're 50 minutes in, but I need to clarify this.
Let me greet our raiders first. You sit there and just stew in your wrongness, okay? Welcome on.
Gosh.
How is it going, Rod? Welcome on, and we are doing good.
Update. There is a
Hey!
Talking about how overrated Firefly is.
Let's do it. Thank you for that follow. Welcome to the Comic Clan. Nitro is digging himself a hole here about how wrong he is about takes in geek culture, and he decided to come out the gate with Firefly is overrated, and we're about
All right, so we need to kind of go back, though. We need to kind of go back at the beginning of this.
Hey,
so
Swanty, how's it going, sweetheart?
Skeet Sport update.
Lock with the gifted sub.
Has been promoted.
Thanks, bro.
To the Stan Clan.
Welcome to the Comic Clan.
Excelsior.
Yeah, welcome to the Stan Clan. Is that Kid Rod? You're now part of the Stan Clan. Alright, go on.
All right, so I feel like we need to go back. All right, so we started the stream a little over a year ago, right? I was fairly new to some aspects of geek culture, right? One of them being, I had never seen Firefly before. Not a huge Joss Whedon fan, even before all the crap that happened with him. I just wasn't a huge fan. So, one of our shows was me reviewing Firefly, the whole show. Not the movie, whatever it was called, just the show, okay? So I watched the show. I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I watched all episodes, and we had a review about it. Now,
did you watch all the episodes? We reviewed half the episodes. Did you watch the rest?
No, I watched all of the episodes. Wow,
so you're even more wrong than I thought.
So, all right, I want to be clear. I did not hate the show. I didn't even think the show was bad. I was just meh about the show. And I know a lot of people are like hardcore in the paint for it, and I just wasn't. It just wasn't my jam. Now, that being said, and I think I've said this on the stream before, if I would have seen it when it came out, I might have a different opinion, just like I like Kingdom Hearts, and you're not a huge fan of it. You're not a ginormous fan of it, I should say. I'm a ginormous fan of Kingdom Hearts. I realize it has flaws, and it's not the greatest game, per se, but it's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, look, hold my brown coat. I've got to lay a whooping down here on Nitro and put him in his place. Alright, so... See, this is why we're a place of love in this community, because I can still be friends with Nitro no matter how wrong he is. We can still be friends.
My bad, Stan. Sorry, I was calling you Rod. My bad.
Well, to be fair, Rod's in his name, so it's like...
True, that's true.
But Stan, yep, he goes by Stan. Well, Stan is now part of the Stan Clan. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I know, look, we're an hour in. I literally was going to pull us in, and we got like 45 minutes in, like, okay, it's a good place to get into the movie, and literally we just kept going from there. So yeah. This has been a very ranty episode.
It's important conversation. It needs to be had. I'm doing good, Stan. I'm so thankful that you're popping in so you can hear how wrong Cross is right now. And how right and vindicated I am.
Comments to the Cross, I was wondering if there was a second episode reviewing Firefly coming. There was meant to be a second half of it, to go over the second half of it. We just never ever got to it. Just a lot of stuff came up and pushed it off. And I don't know if I want to do it now, because I don't want to beat Nitro down publicly on Twitch, you know.
Look, I am okay having a hot take and just standing firm on it. I'm totally cool with that.
To be fair, you're standing in the hot take minority spot for a lot of things in geek culture.
I get it.
You are on the other side of the line from most of geek culture on a lot of things.
I get it. Not a lot of things, just a couple of things.
That's Kid Rod saying I go by Stan or Rod. My last name is Stanley. In the military they call me Stan. Hey, we can do Stan.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
good with Stan Rod.
Yeah, we can definitely do Stan.
I'm good with Stan Rod. We can call you whatever. But we can do with Stan. Look, Nitro, you ain't winning. You share and Ezra should make like a treat and leave. Absolutely, Ads. Thank you. Ads has got my back. It's
okay. I'm okay with that.
Alright, so we're going to move away from the hot takes and from before Nitro digs himself a deeper grave. And we're actually going to go into reviewing Shang-Chi. 100% from this spot on, we are going full spoiler cast for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This
3,
be a full spoiler cast. You've
1.
been warned.
Shang-Chi dies right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that's not actually about him at all. It's like he's the legend. That's about.
It's about the legend of the Ten Rings, of the legend of Shang-Chi, of that legend.
It's like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, also known as Shang-Chi, the Last Airbender. Which
yeah, basically... Locke said I redeem myself because of my anime, so I am a geek in that aspect.
Okay. I will give you this. You have the anime geek cred that I do not have. I've got the sci-fi geek cred. You've got the anime geek cred.
I'll take that.
We'll leave it there. We'll leave it in that standing, because I'm definitely more into the sci-fi side of stuff. You're definitely bigger into the anime side than I am.
Yeah, Stan. That spoiler, if you're still here, that spoiler was not real. We just tend to do that just to be dumb.
I just do it because people decide to hang about and then they get pissy that we do spoilers in the middle of a spoiler cast. Yeah. So it's like, I usually come right out with a big spoiler of some sort right at the start because I'm like, I warned you, so if you're hanging around, you know what you're in for.
Yeah, but Shang-Chi does die right at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very sad. I cried and everything.
Starts off right on the sad note. I mean, come on.
But Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, or Shang-Chi, the Last Airbender, as he becomes, pretty much. Or,
dude, there's some definite bending happening in this movie.
Yeah. Or, as I like to also call the movie, the redemption of Trevor Slattery. Who, say what you want to me,
one of the bright spots of this movie.
One of the best characters in this, and as you can see from the title, I'm all about the bromance between Trevor and Morris.
So, all right. So, question: did you know that he was going to be in it?
I did. I did see that beforehand.
Okay.
I did.
Because I was sitting there waiting for your reaction to seeing him.
I already knew because by the time we got to see it, they'd already released he had got a character poster and stuff.
Got it.
And I even knew about Morris in the little connection between them because people had talked about that they were all about that. So I did know he was coming in it, and it wasn't a shock to me to even see the character poster. Cause I'm like, that makes sense because they already tried to redeem the Mandarin with the "Hail to the King" short. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense in the movie where the actual Mandarin. Mm-hmm. Which I will probably at points just call him the Mandarin, even though he says he doesn't go by that name. He's the Mandarin. It's like he is the Mandarin.
I had no idea, Locke, that he was in it. I had no idea that he was in the movie. So when I saw him, I was like, yes!
Yeah,
I love tied up threads.
Yeah, I'd have probably popped at seeing him, and I'm really glad they brought him back, and they wrapped that all around, and they brought in a real Mandarin that we can see as a villain, but also redeemed Trevor as he is actually a great comic relief character to have around. Him and Morris were one of the highlights of the movie for me. They were phenomenal.
I love the fact that they.
I literally want a stuffed Morris that I can sit here on the desk during the show. I need a stuffed Morris toy just to sit here next to me during the podcast.
The fact that they leaned into the Ben Kingsley Trevor Slattery thing though. They were, at one point they were at the dinner table and he's like, yeah, he named himself after a chicken dish. I thought that was awesome.
I love that. I love the way that they played into that, and it also helped modernize the Mandarin because the Mandarin obviously was named at a time when, that was going to be one of these things it was very played into the times, but it doesn't make sense in this day and age sort of thing. So I like that they played into that, and absolutely, Locke, I agree with you. He had the 10 rings, even though they weren't the traditional finger rings. He's the Mandarin.
Yeah,
he has the 10 rings. He uses the power of them. He's lived for 1,000 years. He's the Mandarin. It's that character.
Yeah, it's canon.
I was sure he was going to have a heroic sacrifice moment to save Morris in the end.
Yep.
No, he had an even better moment. He faked his death. He lay there pretending to be dead. Morris came up all sad. He's like, I'm acting. And then Morris just lies in his back. I don't know, that was amazing. If you know, does Shang-Chi show up? Okay, I'm addressing this right now. When I was posting about Shang-Chi, my autocorrect on my phone came in and apparently changed Chi to Cho.
Nice.
So one of the posts that went out on social media was about Shang-Cho and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
We need to change the title of this stream then.
I know, so it's
Shang-Cho review.
That's what's going to be going up on probably on Anchor as when we put the podcast up. It'll be Shang-Cho and the redemption of Trevor Slattery. So Ads and Isaac have been ripping me for that one for that spelling mistake.
All right, Cross. So, what did you think of the film? So, you saw it for the first time yesterday. I saw it for the second time yesterday.
Yeah, so we're coming in different perspectives. I just got to see it finally for the first time yesterday. So this is I'm fresh perspective. I've had the night to think about it and stuff. So I'm coming in fresh from it. Nitro's had the chance to process and see it for a second time and reevaluate stuff and think what he thought. So there'll be slightly different takes on it probably. Maybe not. Maybe they'll be exactly the same. We try and not talk about this stuff before the stream because we don't want to ruin it. I'll come at the bat, basically give my initial take on it. I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it's one of my favourite MCU movies, and I still stand by what I said to you yesterday coming out. This is probably in my top 5, if not top 3 MCU movies. It's definitely my favourite MCU origin movie. I preferred it pretty much to any of the origin movies, so Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man. And some of those movies I adore. Yeah. Some of those movies are phenomenal. I would even say it's better than most of the solo movies for characters. Bar, I think, again we said it yesterday to each other, bar maybe Winter Soldier. is maybe the only one I would consider for a solo character. It was even better. But I adored this. I adored this movie so much. This skyrocketed to arguably my favourite non-Avengers film. Absolutely. Honestly, this is probably... I probably prefer this to the first two Avengers movies. Infinity War and Endgame are probably the only Avengers movies I prefer to Shang-Chi. Like, this one, I just... Because I came out of it and I'm like, I'm trying to be... Like, I try to be a reviewer. I try to be, like, a perspective. What did I like? What did I not like about it? And I'm like, there's really nothing that I can call out and go, oh, I wish they'd really done that better.
Yeah.
And I came out and like I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was so well done. The characters were well done. The action was phenomenal. The writing was superb. I connected so much with Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. Like, he was such a phenomenal casting choice for this. This guy deserves everything that's coming to him. Every bit of success that's about to come to him from being in a Marvel movie, he deserves. He's an amazing actor. He was a cracking choice for this. And this is redemption for martial arts in the MCU.
Which we're going to talk about that.
We talked about this in length. If there was one thing we talked about in length, it was the fact of the introduction to martial arts from Marvel in recent days has been the Iron Fist series. And this is what happens when you've got a martial arts creation, like one was a show, one was a movie, but like a martial arts movie that understands the Asian culture, that understands martial arts. This is what happens when you've got a lead that actually shows his ass up and trains for his choreographed fight scenes and busts his ass for it.
Yeah.
Finn Jones did not even show up for training in Iron Fist. Simu Liu, like, I don't think that guy left the mat. I don't think he left the gym. That guy was... I was in. That first fight scene in the bus, I was in. I'm like, I don't care what happens from here, I'm in. You've got me. You know, it's like, this is what happens when you do it right, and this is what happens when you give me the dragon I've been asking for.
More dragon in the first 5 minutes of this movie than the entirety of Iron Fist season 1 and 2.
Yeah, I got more dragon. I said, that little card that he had with the dragon that was made, I'm like, that's more of a dragon than we got in Iron Fist.
Exactly.
And then the dragon we get at the end, a legitimate dragon, which I love the fact it was a Chinese dragon as well. It was a like Chinese water dragon style, the long dragon, not the typical European look to it. I loved all of that. And I love that we've actually got a dragon and got it connected in, and freaking, I'm like, it's like, you know what, we can officially sweep Iron Fist under the rug, because even like the secret place they went to, Tao Lao, like, I literally know where you went. That's meant to be Kunlun. That's meant to be Kunlun, and it's like it's literally everything that Iron Fist was meant to be, but done properly. Yeah, it was so well done. I adored this movie. I want to go back and see it again already. Like, I adored it. I need to have like either a sequel to this or an Avengers movie with him in it or something with him. I need more Simu Liu as Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
I do. The guy's phenomenal, and I want more of it. Let me catch chat, and then I'll ask you. You're putting it. I remember when they first announced, a few of us in here wasn't that hyped, so it's good to see the impact it's had. Absolutely, but that's it. Again, I didn't even know that much about Shang-Chi. Like, even in terms of comic characters, he's like a Z-lister.
Yeah,
he's a nobody in Marvel Comics. Nobody reads Shang-Chi comics. Nobody. No. And I guarantee everyone that's a comic book fan has went to the comic shop looking for Shang-Chi. Because of this movie, because they want more. I will guarantee it, if you're a comic fan and you go to comic shops or go on Amazon looking for them, that you've typed in Shang-Chi just to see what there is, and there won't even be that much for you, which is a sad thing.
Yeah.
A lot of 100% cards on the table. I cried when that dragon came out of the water. That movie was so beautiful, top to bottom. It was a stunning movie. Visually, it was just... But yeah, what did you think of it? And you're coming obviously from the perspective of having seen it a second time now.
Yeah, so
what were your initial thoughts, and what did they compare to your thoughts coming out of it the second time as well?
So I feel like I should describe a little bit of my like movie background and what I really love, like growing up. So I grew up with a lot of, I call them kung fu flicks. I know that's probably a misnomer, but that's just the general term that I use. But martial arts flicks, kung fu flicks, samurai flicks, I grew up with those. I love those. They are part of my DNA. So like, you know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had your Crouching Tigers, you had your Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan, You had The Matrix came out at the same time, which had that Asian fighting style influence. I adore those movies. I love those movies, and even going back further than that. So when I heard that was kind of the flair, that was kind of the flavor that they were trying to go for this movie, I was super hyped. Right? Because I didn't know a ton about Iron Fist, and I didn't know a ton about Shang-Chi, to be super transparent. But when I was going into Iron Fist, I understood that, okay, this dude is supposed to be one of the premier martial artists in the Marvel universe. So I am super excited to see what happens. And then that dude showed up. And then season 1 and season 2 happened, and it was awful. So I was going into Shang-Chi hoping that we would get a proper Marvel martial arts property, and I was not disappointed. Like Locke said, the film, gorgeous. From beginning to end, the film is gorgeous. I don't know. I still have to think about it a little more. I don't know where it lands on my list. It's definitely it's probably in the top 5 for me, I would say. But Winter Soldier still is just so good, and Iron Man is just so good. And I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan too, even though I know it's probably not the best movie in Marvel. But anyways, so Shang-Chi was really good. Simu Liu knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park, and I think what really made his character work at the level that it did was his friend Aquafina, which, to be fair, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the stuff that she's in, because I feel like she hams it up too much a little. I feel like she goes too hard with the comedy sometimes, like Crazy Rich Asians is a good example. She was hilarious in that movie, but I feel like there was some times where I'm like, okay, we can dial it back a bit. In this movie, she was perfect.
Yeah.
I 1000% bought the chemistry between her and Simu. I bought it. I bought the family dynamics between her family and him.
Their friendship was a highlight of this movie.
I think it was for real. I think it was a foundation for this movie. If they didn't work together, this movie would not have worked.
And I said it to you as well. I'm really glad that even by the end it didn't turn into a romance. I'm really glad they kept it as their best friends. I'm really glad they kept that close friendship between them, and that alone. It works like that. It really does. The dragon fights towards the end were phenomenal. The martial arts scenes, the bus scene alone, because you don't know that obviously going into the movie that he's a martial artist, but you don't know it in the movie until this scene in the bus. There's a fight scene where Aquafina gets involved and somebody basically assaults her, throws her against a door of a bus, and this is where his training comes out. And she doesn't know that he knows martial arts, and it's just a beautiful scene of him just wrecking shop in a bus. And there's multiple set pieces of him wrecking shop. It's awesome. Yeah. It's so good. Like that first fight scene 100% sold me in this movie. Mm-hmm. That bus fight, you get glimpses of it in the trailer, but there is so much more to it that you do not see, and it's just. And I love the fact as well, it's all physical choreography. It's all him moving around the bus, him fighting with these guys, all choreographed fight scenes. It's not CGI flips and all over the place and anything like that. It's literally them moving around.
It's up close. It's like that's what I'm saying. For those of you who are Jackie Chan fans, I'm looking at Rumble in the Bronx. I think specifically, there was all of his movies are like this, but it's very visceral. Like, you feel the punches. You're up close. He uses his surroundings. Like in this, Simu takes his jacket off. He's using his jacket to fight. Like, that would really happen in a real street fight. And it's really close up, and you feel the punches. You feel the choreo. It doesn't feel like choreography. It feels like a fight. It's really cool. I mean, for the most part, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so well done. This movie is so well paced, and the story's so well thought out as well. Mm-hmm. Like, everything, there's a reason and a rhyme to it. There's a reason that everything happens. There's a reason that everything takes place. There's nothing that's put to the side. Just all the story beats, just all seem to fit for me. Even from the opening of he runs away and we eventually find out all the beats and stuff to it. But the fact that his father then comes for him because he's looking for the pendant that he's got and the one that his sister's got, and you realise he's literally just coming for the pendants. He's not coming to kill them. He's not coming to hunt them down and go after them because it's like, no. In fact, it's even the opposite of that. Like, his father accepts him back with open arms when they go to see him. and takes them back to their original home, and you find out, he needed the pendants to open this dragon statue that showed the map how to get to the mother's home where she was from, and like everything. And the reason he's doing it, the fact of that he's hearing the mother's voice saying that she's trapped and she needs to be freed, and I loved that as well, because it made the Mandarin such a sympathetic character. He wasn't he's not the villain of the piece.
Can we give it up for Tony Leung?
Oh,
he crushed it in that role. Like, he was such a
he's so intimidating and so evil and so menacing, but so sympathetic, and you can honestly relate to
his last scene before, obviously we're in spoilers, so I'm just gonna say it before he dies. The last scene with him, with no words between him and Simu. I'm like, dude, that's a full character arc.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Just that,
because I mean, let's be honest, he just wanted his family. Like, when he finally when he got in contact initially with Simu's mom, and he was trying to fight, and he had this ambition of, like, finding out what was it Talao to her convincing him that he doesn't need that, he needs his family, to going back to to who he was before, and then kind of coming back. It's real life. That's what happens to people,
I love that, because that's why he drove his kids so far. That's why he drove them so hard. And the thing is, that's seen in a lot of movies. That's that thing of, like, that the father loses it, so he loses his compassion, he loses his heart. He gets so driven to get them there. Even the way that he trained Shang-Chi, and the way that he trained them to be a fighter, to be a killer, to be an assassin, and even to the point that we learned that he was sent after it, and that's what made him run away, was because at first he says, like, oh yeah, I didn't go through with it, I knew my father would kill me, and then it was like, no, it was the shame, because I did go through with it. I took his life, and I ran away from that life as fast and hard as I could, and he pushed his kids so hard to this life. His daughter even ran away, and she runs, like, the underground fight arena where we see the Abomination and what's his name, Wong, completely forgot his name there.
Dude, that was so good. That was so good.
So we see, like, this factor, but we realise that the driving force of what he's doing now is because he thinks he can go save his wife and get her back.
Yeah.
And he also wants them to be there as well. He wants
he wants his family
to be there. He wants them all to be together. And he tells them
he's got a lot of anger. He's got a lot of anger, and he takes it out on his son. It's because he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it's like he's in grieving, and he's not gone through the process of grieving. He's gotten lost in the grief, which is kind of ironic to watch as well, because we actually just
that's a good statement,
because we actually just seen that recently as well. This is the second time we've seen this in a few weeks, because this came out around about the same time as the What If episode. If you've not seen it, there are spoilers for the What If with Doctor Strange, where we literally see what happens when he lost the love of his life, and he gets consumed by grief, and it ends up destroying a universe because he can't let it go. And that's his driving force in this. I mean, like, Shang-Chi even says it at one point. He's like, he's asked about the rings that his father wears, and he's like, since my mother died, he put them back on, and he's never taken them off since.
Yeah.
Like, he went back to war over this.
Lux said, I cried when he died. I cried a lot during the third of this movie.
Oh yeah, the third act of this movie was... It was rough.
One of the things that you and I were talking about yesterday that I thought was really cool about this movie, so we're obviously 25, 26-ish movies into the MCU, several shows, all different types of properties. It's bound that there's going to be connections in movies. There's going to be tie-ins, there's going to be callbacks, all that stuff. Sometimes I feel like that can take away from the movie, or that can kind of, like, take me out of the movie, so to speak. With this movie, it was almost like his own standalone thing. Yeah, there were callbacks. You had Wong. They mentioned the snap. There was one or two other things that
not including, like, the end credit scene, which is obviously setting up future stuff and links.
But there was felt like an isolated,
But yeah, like you said, it was there was Wong appeared in it, and Abomination appeared in it from previous movies in the MCU. Like you said, there was a reference to the snap and that taking place. There was the showing up of Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3, because that was a reference back to the previous mentions of the Mandarin and stuff like that. I feel like there was another one I'm forgetting. I can't
I'm
remember
sure
what it
there
was. But I'm like, but like there was very few. And I said this to you as well. A nice thing about this is like it felt very self-contained, but it felt
Yes.
very self-contained, not just within like Shang-Chi's battle, but within our universe. So much stuff has been the bigger picture,
Mhm.
like with WandaVision and with Loki and with the What If series, and then with upcoming with Spider-Man and with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Everything is the multiverse. Everything is this widespread multiverse thing. Everything is about the coming of Kang the Conqueror. Everything is about this next big threat. And it was really nice to have something that was small level. We got hints in the end credits of like it's going to go somewhere. He's going to be connected going forward to something. We don't know what to yet. They're keeping that a mystery, but it's very much a self-contained in our world. Like this wasn't a universe-ending threat. This wasn't like This wasn't even like we've seen Thanos and the snap take out half the universe. No, this was just a threat to the world. The big bad was this demon dragon that had been calling to the Mandarin, to Shang-Chi's father, and wanting him to free it from its prison.
Can we take a moment to appreciate that we just had a battle of two dragons at the end of a Marvel movie?
Iron Fist couldn't give me a single dragon, even though the dragon is literally linked to him getting his Iron Fist. And Shang-Chi gave me two dragons kicking each other's asses.
Yes, they beat the brakes off each other.
Boom. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I've been waiting for. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I adored this movie as well.
I can't wait to see more Shang-Chi moving forward.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about Aquafina being in it as kind of like his comedy sidekick sort of thing. She's the kind of the comic relief and stuff, and she's in this. We mentioned like Trevor Slattery a little bit. We'll get to him and Morris a little bit more. Can we take a moment as well to talk about Shang-Chi's sister?
Yes.
I'm not even going to pretend to know how to pronounce her name properly. I
want to say it's Xialing.
Xialing.
That's the name of the sister.
Yeah, so like his sister, so I apologise, I'm not great with the pronunciation of some of it, and her name, I'm like, it just kept rushing past me in so many, it was so much of this. I am from Scotland, we don't have a lot of Asian names, so I'm not used to Asian pronunciations, I'm still learning a lot of that. But her character arc as well, like, was so heartbreaking, seeing her as a little girl, and we got to see like the scene of her asking him not to leave. And he said he would be back in a few days and never came home after that assassination and basically left her. But yeah, Loxane as well, like that. So we already kind of mentioned about like Sean and Katie. Sean, which I love that they ripped on it as well. Shang-Chi, what's your name? It's like Sean, what's your name? You
changed your name from Shang to Sean?
Yeah, because I love how she
kept your dad found you.
It's like, what's your real name? Shang-Chi? Shang-Chi? No, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi? No, Shang. S-H-A-N-G. Like, you changed your name from Shang to Sean. No wonder he found you. I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Loved it. But yeah, I love the fact that they affirmed that they're just friends. Like, because we even get the grandma her grandma mention it when he comes over to get her one morning. And I like when are you two getting married? And like, no, we're just friends. And they play it as just friends. There's no like, oh, maybe they will in the future. No, they're literally just friends. And I hope it stays like that because the friendship works. I don't think there's a romance there.
Yeah, agreed.
But it's really cool to find the sister is now out on her own. She's the one running the underground fight club, which I love the fact that when he goes there, it's the address that his sister gave him, but they've no idea what they're walking into.
It's like this. It looks like this abandoned building in this awful like mine shaft of an elevator that they're going up.
And I've got to say, I love the dude that like greets them and stuff like that. Is like complete streamer sort of guy. Like, yeah, we put all this stuff out in the dark web and all this fighting, and I'm like, what the hell did we walk into? And then of course he goes out to fight, and
I don't know if you caught this. So you probably did because you have a really good eye. But when they got to that place where all the fights were happening in all those individual cells, did you catch the fight going on between the Black Widow from Black Widow movie and the guy with the extremist virus?
Yes, I did catch that. I didn't catch on that she was a Black Widow at first. I was more focused on him being with the extremists. But yes, I did see him like he was glowing
Yeah,
red
it's the
things. Like,
same.
yeah.
It's the same chick from Black Widow movie. I think it's her name is Helen, and she's a Black Widow from the movie, and she even is wearing the Black Widow icon on her belt buckle.
Oh, I did miss her in that. I saw the glowing guy, obviously, because it's kind of hard to miss. But
Yeah.
yeah, there was a bunch of like Easter eggs locks in it as well, like in that with the fight scenes and stuff. And then obviously the big one was Abomination and Wong on the main stage, which I
So
love.
cool.
I love the fact that Wong knocked him out with his own fist. Just opening that portal and Abomination cracked him.
Dude, that was awesome.
And then all they're just chatting in the back afterwards.
Like they threw the fight.
Yeah, it's like that. Like the whole thing's been set up, which I love. There's
Yeah,
also
the
a
same guy
callback
that
to
reported it on the bus was the one who told him to do a backflip. Do a backflip.
Yes, oh, I love that guy in the bus. And I want you to stick
Yeah.
around him. Like, I love him commentating and just taking the videos, streaming like the whole fight on the bus. He was
I
like
did
one
some
of
martial arts when I was a kid back in the day, so I'm gonna narrate this fight.
Yeah, so I'm gonna grade this fight for y'all. It's like I love it. He stands up, the big dude gets up, and he's like, "Ooh, you got this!" And it's like the knife comes out. Oh, never mind, my bad.
Not
He
bad.
sits back down. It's like yes, so good. But I love the fact that Shang-Chi obviously goes out to fight. Simu getting a chance to show off a little bit of that ribbage she's got going on there, that ribbed midsection, because he's told to take his shirt off. Which, if I had a midsection that looked like that, I'd take my shirt off frequently as well.
I love the comment though from Katie. She's like, "Where's your shirt?" And he goes,
Yeah,
like, it's just like okay, we're gonna lean into this. We realize all of our males have to have a shirtless scene. We're gonna lean into that.
yeah. Too right. I'd have shirtless scenes as well if I had freaking abs like that.
Dude, I would too, man. If I had to torture myself for months and months and months, I would be like, all right, we need to fit a shirtless scene in at some point.
Yeah, like heck yeah. But then of course he ends up, his big opponent is his sister, and he doesn't want to fight it at first. He's kind of trying to connect with her,
Update.
and she ends up like
Someone
kicking his ass, like that kick she gives him that knocks him out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Order of the Tsar. Welcome on in. Thank you for that, host, sir. I appreciate it. But yeah, like she knocks the hell out of him. Like I'm surprised his head was still attached after that kick. It's like holy crap, man.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty brutal.
So we find it like she's running the place, and I love the kind of conversation she ends up having later with Katie, and saying basically like, you know, her father wouldn't train her because the men weren't allowed to train with the women. She had to sit in the sideline and learn everything for herself and teach it to herself. So yeah, she basically left, and she wasn't allowed to be part of his empire, so she went and made her own. No problem, Rosa. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's like it's so cool to see her in that role, and her character's probably the most interesting arc. Because by the time we get to the end of the movie, we don't really know where we stand with her. Like, because it looks like she's completely kind of like, you know, gone on this journey with Shang-Chi and his group, and it looks like she's on his side and standing by him, fighting for her mom's village and stuff like that, and trying to stop her father from unlocking anything. Alright, we need to take a sec. There's a lot of words there that are really like I need to look at them and focus.
Alright,
so I want to finish my thought first on that.
Okay.
But yeah, we really don't know where she stands by the end, because it looks like she's gone through this journey, but then there's that kind of realization of like that she didn't actually end her own empire, and then she goes to like take apart her father's, and she actually makes herself the new head of the 10 rings. And even like rebrands the logo at the end, because like she keeps the 10 rings, but she like removes the double blade in the middle and replaces the logo, changes the colouring of it, so it's like it's a new era for the 10 rings.
Yeah.
But even when she sits on the throne there, and there's all the training, which she has the training now of the men and women training together and everything like that. It looks like she's still got her crew there, so it's going to be live streaming stuff and still doing the fight club that they were doing. But we don't really know where she stands.
Yeah, I think
like, is she going to be an enemy? Is she going to be a villain, or is it more like she does this thing on the side and we'll see her pop in now and again? Like, is the 10 Rings still a big villain?
I think moving forward, she will be the de facto Mandarin, or the villain in place of the Mandarin.
Yeah.
I liked her arc in this movie. I don't know if it was the strongest one for me, but I liked her arc in the movie because I felt like she really all that she really wanted was family, like a connection to family. She didn't get it from her dad, because her dad kind of not really ignored her, but focused on Shang-Chi. She needed to get it from her mom, because her mom died. and she didn't get it from her brother because her brother left. So she had to make her own way. She had to do her own thing. And I think one of the coolest points in the movie is when she gets to Ta Lo and she meets her aunt, Michelle Yeoh. That scene, to me, is really, really good. Because she's like, holy crap, I have family.
See, that's where I thought her story arc was going to go. I didn't see her taking over the 10 rings until we got that clip at the end.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I thought she was going to go to Ta Lo. I thought she was going to go there because she connected with the aunt. We've seen her now connect with Shang-Chi because when they were riding the back of the dragons together and the dragon was getting attacked, she starts to fall. Yeah. And he's, at this point, his father's dead, so he's got the 10 rings and he's literally using them to like wrap their arms together. And she's screaming at him, just let me go. And he's like, I'm not letting you go this time.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, we're building this story up for them, but at the same time, it's a twist, but it's a twist I see coming. Do you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of like the Falcon and Winter Soldier twist with Sharon Carter being the bad guy. How everyone looked at this story arc that was there and then went, that doesn't make sense. Only this time it does. Because meeting your aunt and realising you still have family and making that small connection with your brother doesn't take away the fact that you've not had family most of your life except the family that you built.
That's true.
So two little moments.
She's really good at what she knows, right?
And that's it. Two little moments is not going to take away the family that you created.
And I think that's what kind of maybe knocks it down a bit for me as far as the level that I would put as far as her art, because like you have those moments and they heavily focus on those moments in the movie, which you need to obviously to build that emotional like structure in the movie. I get. But you heavily focus on her. She's got new family. She's mending this relationship with her brother, and then she immediately at the end of the movie goes and does her own thing again. That to me, like, I don't know. It didn't. I get where you're coming from, and that makes sense. But it didn't sit right, or it didn't gel with my brain.
I can definitely see where you're going with that, and I think in terms of like that's the thing. See, if it was just that movie, for me, it would probably feel the same that it didn't gel together. But excuse me, I think knowing that we're going to be getting a sequel, and the fact of like with Marvel movies, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because everything's setting up what's to come. I think, like you said, I do see she's probably going to be the big bad, or at least a background bad for the upcoming movie. You know, when he does get a sequel, I think we'll definitely see that, and we might even see the 10 rings destroyed by the end of that, or by the end of a trilogy.
I think she's going to make a play for the 10 rings.
I think that's going to be, well, she's already got the actual 10 rings, like the actual that he's got.
The actual 10 rings.
Very possibly. It depends where they're going with them, because they're obviously setting them up in a wider Marvel universe sort of thing. But yeah, I think there's going to be a build up, and I think that's the thing. I agree with you that her story arc isn't the strongest in the movie, but I do believe that's because I don't think it's done yet.
That's true.
As
a standalone movie, though.
As a standalone movie, 100%, I absolutely agree with you. It's not. It's the one where you're kind of like, oh, I don't know if that makes sense. But at this point, we're 20 movies deep into Marvel. You know what you're getting. I think it's a case of knowing. That's the overarching story. That's the.
I actually feel like this is Tony Leung's movie. I feel like this is Wen Wu's movie. I mean, I as much as it is Shang-Chi, Simu Liu, as much as it is it's definitely his movie, but I feel like him and his dad on screen, Wen Wu, Tony Leung, I feel like it's a movie. It's a 2-half movie. It's a yin and a yang, and the movie is about them too. Obviously, it's about them too, but I feel like it's just as much his movie as it is Shang-Chi's.
Oh yeah,
that's why I feel like Wen Wu's arc, arguably, is stronger than Shang-Chi's.
I think that's it though. I think because it is his movie as much as it is Shang-Chi's, and the really good Marvel movies have that. They have a villain that's very relatable and a villain that's on par with the hero, and the two of them are very much on par with each other. And I think it's both their journeys, and I think his might be a little bit stronger, and I think that's because it's the ending of his story. Because the whole movie starts off with his story. The whole story is effectively that he's this warlord that found the 10 rings and has used it to extend his life for 1,000 years. And he's basically ran most of the world for this point. You know, it's like but he constantly wanted more power and more power and more power. Until he met his wife. And then we even see the fact of like, and that's where the connectivity and the empathy towards his character come, because not only did he meet her, it wasn't like I met her and it lulled it for a little bit. No, he had literally given it up.
Yeah.
He had taken the 10 rings off, put them in their case, and had not touched them since. He was living his life.
Yeah.
And he put them back on out of sorrow for losing her and wanting revenge, even sending his son to go kill the man that had killed her. That was the mission. That's what it all been for. And even what he's doing in the movie is because he believes, he honestly, with his whole heart, believes he's going to get his wife back. And as a married man, I can't think that if my wife had died and I heard her voice calling me to something like that, and in my head I'm like, I am sure this is her, that I wouldn't have done the same thing. In his position, that I wouldn't have done everything in my power.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I think his character is marked by the fact of that's his driving force, mixed with the fact of that you see him stopping during the fight, and you see him and Shang-Chi talking to each other, and Shang-Chi is still trying to appeal to his father. And then when the dragon is released at the end and he realizes what he's done, and especially when he realizes he's dying, he immediately gives up the 10 rings to Shang-Chi.
Yeah. And like you see the mental slideshow go through his brain. Like, it places you in his brain, and it shows you that the only thing he's thinking about is his family. That's literally the only thing he's thinking
of
about.
His family, and he's looking at his son and thinking about his son, and thinking about him, the moments of training him and standing with him, all the way back to holding him as a baby. And it's like, and you can see the love in his eyes, and I'm like, this man is not the antagonist of this movie.
Yeah.
He's a part of the driving of the story, but he is also being manipulated, and when it comes
he's not 100% bad.
No.
He's not.
Which is an amazing thing when you can do that with a villain. You can make a villain very appealing in that way, that they are not 100% bad, that he's doing what he believes for the right reasons. And it's not even something bad he's doing. It's not even like I'm going to take the power of this village, or they're holding her, so I'm going to destroy the village. Or he doesn't even care about destroying the village.
Yeah.
Even though like the voices convinced him they're holding his wife, he doesn't care. He just has his people keeping them busy so he can open the seal to let her out, or at least that's what he thinks he's doing. And it's such a phenomenal villain arc. It may be one of the best written villains in the MCU so far.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, I'm comparing it with the first Spider-Man film within Marvel, with Michael Keaton as the Vulture. Like, they made him, like, they showed his family, they showed why he was doing what he was doing, even though what he was doing was wrong. They showed why he was doing it. And, like, even though what he was doing was wrong, he was trying to make the best decision that he could with the information and the resources that he had. And again, not excusing, what he did or whatnot, but, like, it made you feel sympathy for him. It made you, like, kind of buy into the relationship between him and his family and him and Peter. And it made that emotional punch of the last third of that movie so much more powerful. And I think the same thing with this one.
Yeah. See, the villain that I associate it with in my head that makes me think of is actually Killmonger.
Yeah.
And Black Panther, because like I think it's the first time since watching Black Panther where I've looked at the villain, and I like, don't get me wrong, Killmonger does some horrible things and he does some awful things and he's about to go wage war on the world. But his reason and his driving force and the reason he wants to do what he does, you literally can't fault him. The guy has been given one of the crappiest hands ever and has had to scratch and claw his way back to where he is.
Yeah.
And, even that thing of like, technically he didn't do anything wrong in terms of Wakanda. Like, the people of Wakanda fight back because they're scared of what he's going to do. But technically he even went in there and did it on their accord. Like, he went in there, he's a family member, he's an heir to the throne, technically. And he went and challenged the King and the Black Panther to a one-on-one contest, and he kicked T'Challa's ass.
Yeah.
And like, I did everything you asked of me. This driving force is here for a reason, and and you feel him, especially like in the moments of Killmonger's death, when he's sitting looking at the sunrise and stuff, and it's like, and basically like, I would rather die like this.
Yeah.
And it's that made me think of, like, it's the first time I think since then there has been a villain that I have 100%, like, that's so a relatable thing. You can understand exactly where he's coming from and what he's going through, and honestly part of you is like, he's not 100% wrong in what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the very least from his own perspective. So that definitely made me think of that, I think. But yeah, they did such a great writing with his character, and
that was probably one of my Katie and Shang-Chi was a really cool aspect of the movie for me. I felt like that was a bedrock for that movie, and then obviously him and his dad, that relationship was really, really cool.
Yeah, he's definitely a highlight. That having, you know, that relationship portrayed on screen, two phenomenal actors playing off each other, it was so good. You know, it was another amazing part of the movie though. Trevor Slattery and Morris. Transition.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that scene.
Let's talk about this.
All right, so we finally get to the point in the movie where Shang-Chi, and he's with Katie and he's with his sister, travel back to his father's compound. His father's he's gotten all of them to come back to his compound, and I think he locks them in a cell, right?
It's weird because they're like locked in the basement, but they're not specifically in a cell because they wander through like a couple of rooms before they get to him.
Yeah, and I can't remember why they're down there, but for some reason they end up getting basically locked in the dungeon. Right?
Yeah, I never really understood, like, when they got put down there, like, I don't get why he's putting them down there specifically, but fair enough. And then they randomly start wandering about.
Yeah, and at some point you hear this like angry moaning and chanting coming from down the hall. So they go to figure out what's going on, and they open this door, and here's Trevor Slattery, the man from Iron Man 3, quoting, I think, Hamlet or Macbeth, one of the two. And we find out that Wenwu has basically captured this dude. He was going to execute him, and then Trevor Slattery went on this just diatribe of Hamlet quotes, and Wenwu ended up keeping him, and he's basically the jester.
He's a court jester. He's a court jester.
I love it.
For the 10 rings.
That was such a cool thing.
And I love the fact that, like, he even mentions the fact of, like, yeah, they got him clean and everything, he's off drugs, and he's now just performing for, like, the Mandarin now, and it's like, okay, I didn't see this coming.
I love it. It's so awesome. And I love the whole bit about, you know, when they're the whole family's at the dinner table and they're talking, and they're because Wenwu's basically introducing himself to Katie in this long dialogue of, you know, I used to be called the Warrior King, I used to be called this and that and this and that, and he goes, and, you know, this guy who took my name in America, and he was talking about that whole Iron Man 3 fiasco, about Trevor Slattery and how he wasn't really the Mandarin, but he took the Mandarin's name or whatever, and I love that whole bit. Was awesome.
Yeah, like he named himself after a chicken dish and all this, and it's like, it was so ridiculous, and I'm like, yeah, thank you for ripping that apart for it.
Yes, please, thank you so much.
But, and that's the thing as well, like, I'm quite happy to rip that apart because their reveal of the Mandarin was awful as well, because, like, it wasn't just like, oh, it's Trevor Slattery playing the Mandarin. No, it's Killian, like, I'm the Mandarin.
Who screams it? I am the Mandarin.
You're the Mandarin. I'm like, no,
so
you're
bad.
not. No, you're not.
And just to nail the nail on the head a little bit, I have a dragon tattoo on my back, just so you know this.
Just to make sure you're aware. But yeah, so they're in talking to Trevor. He's telling him about his new performances, and then our new furry best friend comes round the corner. This walking
chicken pig.
This walking pillow with feet and wings and no face.
Chicken, a big furry butt is what it looks like.
Come round the corner. They freak out, and I love the fact that Trevor's just staring at it like, what? It's like, what is that thing? Like, oh, you can see him too. I thought I've been hallucinating him. And I love the fact that he's made best friends with this creature from Tao Lao. Morris, as he's named it, which I love. And the fact of, like, he literally thinks this has been a hallucination this whole time until they come in and see it as well. And Not only is he best friends with this thing doesn't speak English, obviously. It speaks its own little language.
Or chirps and stuff like
and
that.
he can translate it. He knows exactly what Morris is saying. And they become the amazing comedy duo of this. One of my highlights of this movie. Like, I love it. I am all for the bromance. Trevor and Morris, I'm all for the bromance. This is amazing. I need more Trevor and Morris in my life.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so well done.
Like, even like that in the car, like, because Locke had said it in chat, like, when we thinks that it declares, like, he uses the amulets from Shang-Chi and his sister to reveal a map of how to get to the gate, and it's like he already knew when it was going to open. It opens like one time a year, this certain path, and he just had to know the path to take, and it revealed it. But Morris, through Trevor, reveals that actually, if you know where you're going, you can get through it any time.
Yeah.
And he knows where he's going, so he could take them. So they steal a car. So you got Shang-Chi, you got the sister, whose name again I'm forgetting.
Chai-Ling.
You got Katie, you got Trevor, and you got Morris, who are both sitting in the front seat because he gets car sick in the back. So he's sitting in the front seat with this furry thing in his lap, and basically guides them through this forest.
It's like a magical forest that's alive, that moves. That's the entrance basically to Ta Lo.
Yeah, it's like a giant bamboo forest, so you can see all the bamboo things, and they literally open and close. It's like, stay in the eye, stay in the eye. It's a moving maze. Stay in the eye. What does that mean?
Stay in the pocket. Stay in the pocket.
It's like, what does that mean?
Stop telling me to stay in the pocket.
And it's like, so it's like this thing is opening up in front of them, but just as it's opening in front, it's also closing behind them and moving, and of course they arrive. And they arrive in Ta Lo, and
Can I say something real quick? So when they go, so they basically get out of the bamboo forest, and they go through this. They go through a waterfall, and they basically travel to another dimension. It looks like. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, right?
Yeah, it's basically this hidden world, but it's like almost like a pocket dimension. It's just one little world in itself.
Does that water wheel not look like a sling ring portal? But just a water version of it?
That makes sense, actually.
It looked just like a sling ring portal, but it was a water version of that. It formed the exact same way, opened the exact same way, and everything.
It very well might have been as well, because that's the thing, because where Ta Lo is, it looks like there's a lot of portals, because where the big bad is, again, I forgot the name of the creature, but it's behind like the big dragon scale door they've put up over this, and they describe that it's in another world as well. So this thing is locked away in a dimension that leads to there, that leads to the other dimension.
Yeah. We should probably hit Locke's comment, because it was a while ago. Alright, so let me hit it real quick. And then
we kind of hit bits of it, but yeah.
Yeah. So basically, as far as the timeline goes for Shang-Chi, they've surmised that because it happens during a festival, a Chinese festival, it happens between March 29th and April 5th of 2024, I think, is the gist of that.
Yeah, so it's a certain Chinese festival, so it hits those exact months, and then of course it's set 2024 because it's set after the snap in the reverse.
Yeah.
Of that, so yeah, it's kind of cool that you can track down the exact dates of that, and it keeps it in the Chinese calendar essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I adored this movie. I think we've hit most of it. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know we bounced around for a little bit, but
we've talked most of it. There's only two things I kind of want to still hit. Let's talk a little bit more about the dragons in depth.
Okay.
Just because that's a big part of the big finale.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual action scenes. We've not really talked about the fight scenes themselves, and I want to get into the actual details of them a little bit because.
So, in my brain, there was three main fight scenes, right? So you had for Shang-Chi, you had the one on the bus.
Yep.
The one at the compound, at his sister's compound, and then the one between him and his dad. Those are the three main, I think, set piece driven fights that push the narrative forward. We've kind of already talked about the bus one. That was basically the opening of the movie, almost.
Yeah, the bus one I think is the most impressive one, to be honest.
I agree. I think that's probably my favorite.
Because a lot of them after it, they're a bit more CGI. Because obviously, like with the one at the building, they're fighting outside the building on scaffolding, so there's a bit of CG to that. And then the last one, obviously, there's CG and wire work to it because they've tapped into the airbending.
Yeah,
I know it's not really airbending, but I'm going to call it airbending.
Yeah, we're going to call it airbending. And that's so one of the takeaways, or one of the downsides for me for the movie, which there aren't a lot, there's just a couple in my brain, I feel like there was, and obviously rightfully so, but I feel like there was way too much reliance on CGI, and I could tell in some of the scenes. I could tell that they weren't really where they were supposed to be, and for a moment, momentarily, it took me out of the movie. And I'm thinking specifically of the dragon scene at the end, like when he finally destroys the dark dragon. I forgot what his name was as well.
Yeah.
But it was just like there was so much going on. I almost had a hard time figuring out what was going on and who was who. But it wasn't to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't like this, you know.
Yeah,
It took me out.
It was one of those things, like, it wasn't like a thing of, I don't think it was a thing of, like, it totally distracts. Like, I've definitely seen worse.
Yes, I've definitely seen worse. He was looking at you, Captain Marvel.
Yeah. But at the same time as well, I don't see how else they could have done that scene because of how fantastical it is. There isn't really a practical way to have done that.
Yeah.
Not and get the same effect.
Yeah.
You know, you could have done, like, maybe practical effects of creating the creature, but, like, to get the full dragon scale on that scale, I'm like, nah. It's the only way that made sense, and don't get me wrong, it looks good for what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just one of those.
Doesn't look bad.
It's definitely one of those things. Like, yeah, you're aware it's CGI though, but there's really not that many moments like that.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, if this was in any other movie, not a Marvel movie, I don't know if I would have been as scrutinous about it.
Yeah, because, like, even in the fight scenes,
You know?
when we start to see it, like, especially, I'm thinking, like, most of the fight scene with him and his dad as well, there's a lot of CG and wire work to that, but part of that I'm okay with, because that's kind of what those martial arts movies, the old school martial arts movies, looked like. They were built on those kind of fantastical stunts, and you were clearly seeing wire work, but it's almost like an homage to that.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit. And then I think the fights, you know, because, like, you see a lot of the fight with them, and a lot of that's obviously including the 10 rings getting thrown about and stuff like that, so there's obviously those elements to it as well. But then you also have the fight scene, I think, on the building at the Sisters Fight Arena, which is kind of in between. There's a lot of physical and scene moving around the scaffold, and it looks very much like the bus scene, but there is elements of CG just to enhance stuff. Obviously they're not really fighting on a building and stuff, but
one of the things that I really liked about that fight scene is there's a really, really good sense of tension when we think Katie's gonna bite it.
Oh yeah.
She's holding onto this bamboo scaffolding, and it breaks, and she's about to fall, and there's like a legit sense of, holy crap, are they gonna kill Aquafina?
Yeah, there's a legit moment of, like, I don't know how he's gonna catch her.
Yeah, and like, you can see it in his face, and the way that he acts off that, and the way that, you know, that whole scene unfolds is really good. It's really good, and it just adds, again, to the relationship, which, in my opinion, is one of the bedrocks of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think 100% I would have to say this is probably the best action in a Marvel movie I've seen. Like, those sorts of style of fight scenes, and the only ones that even come close are probably kind of like we talked about earlier, but like Captain America, Winter Soldier, especially.
Yeah, the fight scene between him, Cap and Winter Soldier at the beginning, or towards the beginning of the movie. Middle of the movie, rather. Yeah.
Even like the fighting between like Cap and Batroc the Leaper and stuff, like that little hand-to-hand stuff. It's probably similar along that. I think it's probably better than that, just because the choreography is so much more advanced, and you also still are very aware that they are doing it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't expect anything less from a Shang-Chi movie. It's the martial arts movie for the MCU.
Yeah.
It better have the best freaking fight scenes, and then, you know, like, that's what it's meant to have.
This should be the measuring stick.
But it's definitely up there with the rest of them. I think it probably is better, but, like, yeah, if you like the fight scenes in, like, Captain America Winter Soldier, I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy these ones.
I just can't get over the bus. The bus scene for me, it just because the way that it unfolds is you have no idea what his martial arts prowess is, and when he throws that first punch and it goes in slow motion, and then he does the split kick at some point, and you see Aquafina's face is like, what the heck? It's
so well done.
It's so good.
Because the thing is,
slow motion is good in this movie too. They don't overdo it. It's perfect.
It's literally used to emphasize things at the perfect time, and I think that's the thing. The funny thing is, if you watch the trailers for Shang-Chi, it's like you don't actually see him fighting that much. Like, thinking of like a martial arts movie, like they really just tease you with what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And like we said, like that bus scene in the trailer is nothing compared to in the movie. Like, it is so much more amped up, and it's like
15 minutes long.
Yeah,
like
it's a
fighting.
long fight scene, but it's amazing.
Yeah,
Like, I watched that scene and I'm like, I'm in. I don't care what comes
Yeah.
next. I'm freaking in. This movie's awesome.
agreed.
Like, I
Agreed.
could leave now and be happy just having seen that. Like, it's
Now, I will say, so another negative for me, I will say, I wasn't a gigantic fan of Razor Fist. I didn't think he needed to be in the movie. I think they could have done it with somebody else. He didn't. I don't feel like the guy was that great of an actor, in my opinion.
no.
I might be too harsh. I don't feel like the character was that interesting, and I
I
don't feel
don't
like
think
he
the
added anything.
I don't think he did. I think he was fine at the beginning. Like, when I thought he was like the big bad on the bus
Hmm.
that was just getting the medallion, I thought that works. That's great for a fight scene like this because he's fought all the little dudes, and then there's always a big bad like that fights alongside them. That's that little bit more challenging.
Hmm.
And even to have him in the rest of the movie, just to kind of be there, he was very much the big bruiser grunt sort of thing of
Yeah.
like go in and smash. He's the guy you'd want to see like hand to hand with the Hulk sort of thing. It's like that. He's going to go in and smash. That's what he does.
Hmm.
And I felt like they tried to give him a character arc, even to the point of like when they go to Tao Lao, like, and Mandarin goes over to try and like break through the thing. Like, he's almost like second in command,
Kind of. Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't quite know why you don't come across as like any sort of leadership except the fact that you're bigger than the
No.
rest of them and you've got a
Yeah,
sword in your
exactly.
hand.
I would have honestly rather the Death Dealer. I would have rather the Death Dealer replaced his entire character. So the guy with the mask, the
Oh
Death Dealer, I
my
feel like they could have.
goodness, why did
I
that
feel
character
like-
have a character poster?
I feel like we know nothing. We know nothing about that person. They died. They died in the movie, so we'll never know anything about that person. I feel like they
That
were
was the most
probably-
wasted character in this whole thing. See the build up
I
of that
agree.
character, and they did
They were
nothing with
intimidating.
him.
They were intimidating. They fought with Shang-Chi one-on-one, and it was a great fight. In that big building, and I feel like they could have replaced Razor Fist's character with that character in some shape, form, or fashion, and I feel like you wouldn't have even missed the other
Yeah.
guy. I
I
just feel like he
would've-
was not needed in the movie.
The only thing I would have done is I would have kept Razor Fist for the bus fight. Just simply because I like the Death Dealer's like reveal when they're fighting in the building, and that's the first fight with Shang-Chi, and it's not with everybody else. It's literally a one-on-one fight, and
Yeah.
you get a taste of what they're like. And then I would have loved to see them come to blows later, or at the
Agreed.
very least seeing the Death Dealer fighting with his sister, where she gets like her like dragon scale rope dart thing.
Yeah,
Something like that, something to make her a bigger character, and
Yeah.
them being like head of all of them would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Razor Fist, I think, he's a big bruiser. He's a one and done. He's a big fight that you want to see Shang-Chi take out because it proves that Shang-Chi can take on someone like that and it's not a threat to him.
yeah.
It's that reveal of like something that's that big of a threat getting taken out, but him to be a leader and they keep showing up is like, nah.
Yeah, other than a few very, very, very few spots of semi-dodgy CGI, I think the biggest thing for me was Razor Fist. I feel like he not only did he not add anything to the movie for me, I felt like he took away from the movie.
See the Death Dealer. Are they in
Huh?
any more fight scenes? The only things I can think of them is that fight with Shang-Chi.
So the Death Dealer shows in the training montage when Shang-Chi was
Yeah.
as he was growing up, it showed him a couple times. And then it showed the Death Dealer him fighting.
But it's the fight
And
with
then at the
Shang-Chi and then Tao Lao, the fight where they get killed.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you see, especially when you built them up as one of the people that basically abused him in training,
agreed.
you'd expect it to be a bigger payoff, and there just isn't.
Yeah,
That character had a character poster.
he looked awesome.
Why
he
was-
he or she looked
Yeah,
awesome.
he or she, I don't even know if it was a man or a woman. It's like, but probably a man, knowing the Mandarin's training and the women aren't allowed to train, it's probably as a man.
True. Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
But, like, why give them a character poster? They don't have a character. They look so cool and you could have done so much with them. Like, I wanted to see, like, Shang-Chi's getting his butt whooped with this guy
Yeah.
in that fight scene. Then the dad shows up and it's like,
Mhm.
I want to see another fight later. I want to see them coming to blows, or it's like at least the fact of like have a short fight between them and then like at Tao Lao and the sister interferes and takes over and like go get her dad. I'll take care of him.
Yeah. I wish the Death Dealer would have somehow escaped at Tao Lao or not even been there. And at the end of that end credit scene where it shows her taking over her dad's spot, that Death Dealer is right beside her. I would have loved that. That would have been awesome.
That would have been great to show like that. They're still here, it's under new management, but there's also still a little bit of the old management there. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That, rather than like Razor Fist being there, like I'd love to have seen like one side her like guy that was running the Fight Club, the Mohawk dude, and then like Death Dealer on the other side. That would have been so much better. That's I never really thought about that before, but yeah, that's probably my one big thing. I like they really pushed Razor Fist.
Yeah.
And there was no reason to. The guy was not that great of an actor.
No, he wasn't.
And Death Dealer just
if you're watching, dude, no offense.
Yeah, no offense or anything to it. It's like that. The dude did what he could with it. I mean, the writing might have been awful for the character. The direction might have been awful for the character. I just feel like it was a guy who was a big dude who was included in that first fight to show what Shang-Chi could do against someone like that. Not just another martial artist, but someone that big of a threat.
Yeah.
And then they just went, keep them in the movie. And I'm like, no. That was a bad decision.
Yeah.
Because
Death Dealer had him in the movie, but just had him in the background. Don't have him talk. Don't have him be part of the plot. Just have him there because,
Yeah. Well, that's it. It could have just been there just to be a big brute. It should have been like Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie. The big brute that's there and doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that character should have been. Death Dealer was a lot more interesting. Had a great fight with Shang-Chi. Even on the scaffolding, like, they're all fighting this stuff, and then at one point the sister's dangling off an edge, and Death Dealer just shows up and goes, snatch.
Yep.
Just grabs the necklace and just goes, and it's like, wait, what? Like, I'm not here to mess about. I'm here to get a job done. My job was to get that necklace.
Yeah.
And I'm getting out of here. Like, I don't need to mess with you. Like, I'm not messing about with stuff that doesn't matter. I'm like, that character should have been so much cooler than it was.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I really, really wanted to see more Death Dealer because I felt like the fights between Shang-Chi and the Death Dealer were so good. I felt like they were so good. I wanted more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's... Oh, let me... Oops, sorry.
But yeah, I hopefully if they have a sequel or whatnot that they bring back the Death Dealers. So I'm really hoping they do.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of the Death Dealers. I hope that's not like the only one because it's the only one we really got to see. So it's like I hope we do more with that.
Because they just even the look is awesome. Like they just look sweet.
Just the look, the mask, and the way the outfit looks, like it's perfect. It looks like a good villain. It's like it's one of those great villains that catches your eye. Like, oh, I wonder what they can do.
Yeah.
Nothing is what they can do apparently.
Again, man, the movie again is so good. If you're a martial arts fan, this is a must watch. Especially if you're a martial arts fan who's also a Marvel fan. Like this is a no miss movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like MCU fan, martial arts fan. It's well worth checking. Like this movie is worth the hype it's getting.
Yes,
it is absolutely 100% worth the hype it's getting.
I'm so happy for Simu Liu though, because he like back in the day, like if you don't know the story, he basically messaged Marvel on Twitter in like 2012 and said, "So Shang-Chi, Marvel, what's up?"
Yeah, so when we're talking about this and the dude got it, and it's like, hey, go for it, man.
This is like one of those classic how it started, how it's going posts.
Yeah, well, it's like the old adage of like you don't ask, you don't get. It's like
he asked, he got it. Yeah, dude.
He asked, he got.
He's so good in this movie. He's so good. There was not one spot in the movie where his acting took me out of it.
Nah, he's a phenomenal actor. It's like the fact that he's not been in more stuff. Or at least the big name stuff is like is a travesty, to be completely honest. It's like the guy's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Alright, sorry, just pulling up Twitch and having a look on it there.
No worries.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for our review of Shang-Chi. I don't think there's anything else really.
No, I mean we hit all the major plot points. We hit all the major set pieces, the characters.
Amazingly, after like an hour rant before we even got into it, but like
Dude, I know that's like the quickest review we've ever done of a movie. That's hilarious.
I know,
but we were very succinct though.
Yeah, but like so final thoughts on it. Yeah, this movie is well worth checking out. This is if you've not seen Shang-Chi yet. Definitely go and check it out. I think it's worth going to the cinema to see if you're willing to go to the cinema.
I would agree.
I know some people still aren't, but if you're able to, it's definitely worth seeing there. Just for the spectacle of it, it's definitely worth checking out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like the 90+% on Rotten Tomatoes is deserved.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think it's like 93 to 95, something like that, somewhere in that range.
So 1 out of 10, what would you give it? Gun to your head, what would you give it?
Gun to my head, I would probably say at least a 9.
Yeah,
at least a 9.
I think for me it would be a 8, maybe a 8.5.
Yeah. I think a
I'd
9 because there's very few things I can think of. I'm like, this could make it better. I was really impressed with it. It is definitely one of my top MCU movies. So I think that one's definitely a 9 for me. You know, and if you're talking out of 10, like 10 for me is talking something like Endgame. Like you would have to give me feels I had like sitting watching Endgame for the first time to be hitting a 10 at this point.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, it's not necessarily. It's how the movie makes you feel. It's like the type of emotion that it pulls out of you. And Endgame for me is just the cream of the crop.
Yeah, Endgame's up there, so I'd say like that. Then like Winter Soldier, maybe like a 9.5 sort of rating, and then like 9 for Shang-Chi for me. Like it's up there. Yeah. It's in that range, so I'd say a good solid 9 at least.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it for us today. Thank you for everyone who hung out with us. It's here for our review of Shang-Chi. For everyone that's here, we absolutely appreciate it. Of course, the conversation keeps going when we are not here on Twitch. If you want to keep up with us on our Discord or keep up with us on our social media, you can go and follow us there at our links. Also, if you're so inclined to want to financially support us as well, you can go ahead and check out our Ko-fi page, which I double checked and found out it is Ko-fi, because apparently they themselves said it's Ko-fi, as in it rhymes with no fee.
Oh, okay.
So it's Ko-fi.
Got it.
So go and check us out on the Ko-fi page if you feel the urge to support us financially. There is extra content over there. I have been recording some reactions. I still have some to record and put up there at the start of this week. Like some more trailer stuff to put up. Also, we do have a commissions page up there as well, where you can commission this man over to my side here to do logos and stuff for your stream if you're so inclined. A lot of examples up there, including the one that's just above us here, our own logo. Or if you want to commission him for an art piece, he does art pieces here on our art stream. So if you want to commission him for your own art piece, go and check it out there. It's like the prices are a little bit high on it. It's not just your basic stuff for it. It's like they're good pricing on them, but for the work he puts in and how good they turn out, it's well worth it. So definitely check him out, and that money goes completely to supporting Nitro, and a part of that he is kicking back to Comics and the Cross to help support the channel. Or you can just donate and support us there and get the extra content over there for as low as, I think I've said it at like $3 or $4.
Yeah.
So you'll actually be saving money than if you subbed here on Twitch, and we get more of that money back as well. So actually we'd probably prefer it if you supported us over there.
Yeah.
Just because it gets us more of the money, it saves you guys money, and there's more content for you. It's one all around. So go ahead and support us there, and thank you for that, Ads, one of our top guys over here, has been supporting us since day one. Thank you for that outstanding stream as always. We appreciate it, brother. So we are going to go and raid. I think we're actually going to go raid 1Geek411.
Nice.
Cameron's on there doing a little bit of Magic the Gathering right now, so even if that's not your cup of tea, that's not your sort of thing, if you can at least hang out with us to go and show them some love. They do a lot of streaming different things over there. They stream their own podcast and their book club. They have games, variety games over there. So go and check them out, show them some love, drop them a follow if you haven't. Hey Space Hobo, how is it going? You're coming in right at the end, we're just wrapping up, but appreciate you coming in. Let me go ahead and drop a link to them on Twitch. Loving the Lucha mask, by the way, Space Hobo. But yeah, Space Hobo, massive shout out to him. Kind of caught him the other night actually when we were, I jumped in to play a game of Splitgate. He's one of the other dudes on there. He streamed. I decided to go and check him out. Still pretty low in numbers of following, so if you want to go and show him some love, go and check him out. We're worth checking. But yeah, we're going to go show 1Geek411 some love, so please, if you're able to, follow our raid command. If you can't get that, just use the normal raid emotes if you've got them, along with the You Are Burdened with Glorious Purpose. In terms of the rest of this week, I will be back tomorrow night for the finale of Kingdom Hearts.
Oh shoot!
It's done. We fought and beat Maleficent last week. We fought and beat Riku/Ansem. And then we were kicked back to Traverse Town for some reason, just to go back to the same place we were in. So it's like, okay. But we are going to be going and getting the last little upgrade we need, heading back there and going into, I believe it's just the final fight left for that. So I will be doing that this tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So please come along and hang out with us and join us for that. And then, to make a very special announcement of the following week, the next game that's going to be coming after that is you're not actually going to see me on stream on Monday nights. Monday Night Crossplay is going to be taking a little bit of a break, and you are actually going to be seeing my beautiful wife Jay coming in for the new series that we're doing on Monday nights. Her and I are interchanging on Monday nights for a little bit, called You Died, Please Try Again. And basically she's going to be playing horror games on stream, and just perfect for going into spooky month. And she is going to be kicking it off by playing BioShock Remastered as her first game.
That's
so
awesome.
she was encouraged to play the BioShock series, that she would love the story for it, and it was actually her brother and my brother-in-law that suggested, why don't you stream it, because that'd probably be funny to watch. My wife is not a horror person at all. She does not like horror stuff. If you like seeing someone get freaked out at horror stuff, this is the game to check out. So it'll be me tomorrow night, and then next Monday night at 8:30 she should be taking over. I'll still be in chat and stuff like that. I'll still be hanging out and talking, because she's going to be very new to streaming. She's going to be very new to a lot of you and interacting. So please come in and please be nice and show her some love for that. And then Nitro, you were going to say what's happening with Art of the Hero, because we might not be getting it this week, so I'll leave it to you.
So I'm going to be taking this Tuesday off because I got some friends that are coming in town from out of state. So I will be back next week. I am incredibly excited for the piece that I'm going to be working on. So it's a piece that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm doing a ton of research to make it probably one of the most intense pieces I've done so far. So
nice.
If you like the Ninja Turtles and you like live art, I would suggest that you come back not this Tuesday, but on the 28th. Check it out.
Okay. I'm still waiting for my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle versus the Robins, like, big crossover piece. Just saying. I mentioned it like
I didn't know you wanted that.
I mentioned it like a year ago. I'm just saying, I'm still waiting.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Just saying. Just throwing it out there. You know. But yeah, so Nitro won't be here this week because, Band decided to have a social life instead of hanging out with you. How dare he?
How dare I?
But we'll be back next week with a phenomenal piece to check out. If you want to see his previous work, you can see on our Ko-fi page some of the examples for it. Also, it's posted in our Discord and online. You'll see different examples of stuff he's done. The guy's a phenomenal artist, so I can only imagine what he's going to do when he's got a piece like this to just go ham on and just let loose on. When it's not a commission from someone and it's basically what he wants to do, like, okay, I'm intrigued to see what happens with this. And then, of course, the last big announcement is next Sunday. The podcast will be back 2 o'clock Eastern Time here at twitch.tv/comicsinthecross, and the long awaited return of Dr. Baron Bell is coming back on the podcast. We have talked to him a couple of times on the show about his comic Dominion, Fall of the House of Saul.
Dude.
Don't know if you can see it behind me up there. I've actually got it hanging. I think it's just off camera, unfortunately. But he is coming back to talk to us because issue 3 has dropped. So we are going to be talking to him about Dominion up to this point and what's next going forward, because there's going to be a 3-issue arc, really. When I say 3 issues, it's like they're expanded issues.
Yeah.
So from Terminus Media, based on the story of King Saul. So he talked previously about leading into doing the stories of King David and King Solomon as well from the Bible. So we're going to be talking to him a little bit about the details on that. So make sure you come and join us next week as we talk to him. You don't want to miss that conversation. Alright, we are going to go and raid 1Geek411. Let me just make sure. Yep, they're definitely still on. Just checking. I've done that before. I've gone to raid and they're gone. Okay.
Dude, I did that last Tuesday. I raided someone and they had already switched off. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it happens to everyone eventually. So we love every one of you. Thank you so much for everyone that came and hung out with us today. And remember, it is a good week to be a geek. Take care, and I will see you all tomorrow night.
Adios. See you guys.
Peace.